giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Oh, yeah. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports live on this Wednesday. Streaming live on YouTube. And, of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! You see it. Cowboys, Eagles. Week 9 is finally here. We on to Philly, turning the page, talking about Jalen Hurts, the Cowboys defense against that Hurts offense, and it's only right we bring in my guy, Coier Media, Philly's own Akoye Media, to break it down. All right, but before we turn the page, Cowboys Nation. Before we turn the page, in the roundup, the Cowboys did make some moves. Just not trades. Just wasn't trades. So we're going to mention a little bit about what happened at the trade deadline across the league and we'll get Akoye's opinions on that. I kind of gave my opinions yesterday on Vacha's show, and I'm a little bit over it because it's time to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and the Cowboys didn't do anything. However, we'll talk about it a little bit in this roundup. So let's get right into it. As usual, there's always something behind the scenes between that's trying to hold me and Akoye down. But we got through it. We're here. I know it's 9 o'clock. My bad, Cowboys Nation. But we here, and we're going to give y'all a fantastic show. So without further ado, let's do it.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time. It is time for.
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you, Cowboys Nation. So, found it funny. After all the trade deadline stuff went down, the Cowboys picked up the phone and said, "Hey, NFL, we did make a move. We signed practice squad interior offensive lineman Dakota Shepley. He was with the team last year, and they cut him right before the playoffs and tried to sneak him back on the roster, but he got scooped up by the Indianapolis Colts. So Dakota Shepley back with the Cowboys, and Eric Saubert, tight end that the Cowboys signed last week, got poached off the practice squad to the Houston Texans, and now he's with their 53-man roster. So Saubert didn't see any snaps on offense, but he played 14 special team snaps on, I almost said defense, on special teams. So he did play a little bit. He got called up, and I guess the Texans reached out to him and said, "Hey, we want to sign you to our 53. He informs the Cowboys. The Cowboys say, "We got no room for you on our 53, so go ahead and head on over to the Texans." And, of course, that opened up a practice squad spot, and the Cowboys signed Dakota Shepley. So they're forever churning the bottom of that part of the roster. However, what they didn't do was churn the roster at the trade deadline. The Cowboys remained quiet as the rest of the NFC was not. This is what the NFC contending teams, and really all of the teams that are currently in the playoff picture right now, they made moves within the past week at the trade deadline. Here's what happened. The big one, Chase Young to the 49ers for a 2024 third-round pick. Chase Young is having a career year so far for the young man, and it sounds like his time in Washington just was ending. Didn't seem like it was a good match on both sides. Washington didn't like how he was operating. Obviously, Chase Young likely wanted to get out of there like many of those players probably do, including Jonathan Allen. And 49ers also picked up Randy Gregory last week or 2 weeks ago, I think it was. So Randy Gregory, Chase Young to go along with that front. They're just adding a bunch of talent to help that defense out as much as they can. The Chiefs, we know about them. Last week they got McCole Hardman. The Eagles traded for Kevin Byard last week as well. The Seattle Seahawks at the deadline went out and got Leonard Williams. They traded a second and a fifth for Leonard Williams, and they signed Frank Clark. So, the contending teams, and then the Detroit Lions also traded for a wide receiver. I believe it was Peoples-Jones. So the contending teams have made moves. Will these moves ultimately put them over the top? No one knows, right? But at least they made the attempt to do so. The Cowboys, they quite literally like their guys. And look, a multitude of things can be true here. Number one, the Cowboys are still a good team, good enough to compete. Number two, the Cowboys not looking to make a move to get better at the trade deadline. You can critique them for that. Number three, this does not stop them from doing what they want to do come February, January. And number four, you have an absolute right to be frustrated with it. Anybody telling you otherwise is either just bought into the Joneses or just trying to, make everything feel hunky-dory and rose-colored glasses like some fans do. It is absolutely okay to be frustrated that the Cowboys didn't make any type of move at the deadline. All those things can be true, Cowboys Nation. I mean, we always tend to be divided here at this part of the season. But me personally, Skywalker still, yeah, I would have loved to make a move. No doubt about it. Did I expect them to make it? Not really, if I'm being honest. Not really. All those rumors that was going down obviously were fake. Let's just be honest. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, those rumors weren't true. So it is what it is at this point. I'm over it. Like, at the deadline yesterday, there was a lot more emotion to it. And if you go listen to my rant on Voch's show, it wasn't even necessarily about being super upset or anything. But here's one thing that does trigger me. Don't feed me the Cowboys made their moves in March. Don't feed me that crap. Because so did Seattle. So did San Francisco. So did Detroit. So did Philly. Every team made moves in the offseason. The offseason is actually about trying to put your team together, where at the trade deadline, it's about trying to improve the team that you know what is at the moment. You didn't know what your team was going to be in March. You know what it is now. Things have changed, right? Injuries happen. You don't have your all-pro corner out there anymore. Your linebacker went down. Your offensive line's not looking the greatest. Things change. So when you see the spin machine out there on the Twitterverse or Xverse, whatever you want to call it now, don't buy into it. Don't buy into it, Cowboys Nation. And I'll leave it at that. Let's bring my guy Akoye Media in the building, because I'm very curious on Coier's thoughts in regards to this. What's good, bro? You on mute, man. You on mute. Unmute yourself. Ruh-roh. Hold up. I was wondering why you was so quiet. Give me a second. I'm going to get Akoye's thoughts here in a second after we figure out what's going on. Let me pull you up here. On my side of things, you're good to go. Refresh it. Let's see if we can get you back in here. Yeah, he's going to refresh it. I'm going to talk to y'all about this trade deadline thing. Okay, wait a minute now. Say something. Now we good. Okay, here we go. Let's get a Coier.
Yeah, I want to say I'm not on mute. I'm talking.
All right,
yeah, good morning, everybody, man. What's up, Sky, man? Hold up. Let me get this thing out my way. All right. Yep, good. I'm good to go. Yeah, I was listening to you talk about the trade deadline, and I was like you, man. I was. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear, bro.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was like, y'all was pissed off at first. Like a week ago, I said, if we don't make a move, we're not really serious about improving this team. And I had some second thoughts on that, though. So, and what made me think about that is the usage or the lack thereof thus far of a lot of guys and a lot of talent that's already kind of hidden on this team. You know
Sure.
what I mean? And my thoughts are, if we go after a bargain trade, doesn't really make any sense, right? So the only things that made sense were blockbuster style trades, and those style trades would become more of a logjam, in my opinion, depending on what position you're going after. But they become a logjam for other guys that we still need to see or and evaluate that we think are good on this team already. You know what I mean? When you look at the front four, you got guys like Fehoko that doesn't play. You got guys like Sam Williams that needs to get more tick. They had him playing gunner, and balling, on special teams. But we have plenty of guys that don't get opportunities that we need to see. Hunter Lipke, Deuce, you name it. We got talent. We just that hasn't seen the field. And when you bring in mercenaries, what that does is, it kind of puts a logjam between you as a team evaluating that talent. So if we say in the beginning of the season that we're one of the deepest teams in the league, which we still are, in my opinion, but then complain because we don't go and get top end talent in the trade deadline doesn't make that much sense to me anymore. So that's why I even changed my mind on it, due to the fact that I'm like, these younger guys need to get a chance to play. Mozzie doesn't play that much. Sam Williams doesn't play that much for Hoko. I can go down the list of every draft pick from this year. They don't really get that much tick. You got guys like Wanya, you still want to get on the field. Izzy doesn't play, and we want to see what he can do. So I think that their faith isn't, it isn't misplaced. Now, they still have to go out and show that these guys are what they say they are, what they think they are. But for the last couple of years, we've been drafting guys, and then they've not been, getting that tick that we want them to get. Whether you're talking about Boss Man, you're talking about Sam Williams, other than Bland kind of jumping out the window, right, last year, we're not seeing these guys really get on the field and like make a name immediately. It's like a slow progression for all of our draft picks. So I want to see them. And I do think that they are what we thought they were. But the only way they're going to be able to get those reps is if they're the ones that are next man up. You know what I mean? If we go out and grab a Jalen Johnson, that helps us today, but that might mess up the chemistry that we have with a Bland who's playing great on the outside right now, top in the league on the outside right now. Kicking him back inside and putting Jalen Johnson there, maybe that messes up his chemistry. Who knows? You never know. Although he does play the slot very well, but I think that they were saying it like that. Like, why are we looking for Jalen Johnson when you have a Bland playing the way he's playing on the outside already? He's already playing at the top of the league at his position. So I get it. And they gambled and bet on themselves. So now we got to see, what that is and what that translates to as the season goes on. But I was like you, I was up maybe 4 or 5 days ago. But over the last 2 days, it kind of quelled, and maybe winning the way we did versus the Rams probably had something to do with that too.
I think our reasonings are different. I'm not as upset anymore for completely different reasons. I shouldn't say upset than you. It sounds like are you saying this to cope with it? Because it sounds
no.
You're saying
no, I'm for real.
I'm cool
I
with
really
not making a move because of Fehoko. I'm cool with not making a move because of.
See, look at you.
Dudes, I mean, you said you want to see these dudes, and in my head, I'm like, I hear you, but if I can go get Jalen Johnson for a 3rd round pick, that's a no brainer to me. Because
I don't think so. Why? Jalen Johnson's going to need to be paid. He's at the end of his rookie contract right now.
What's wrong with that?
Well, we just paid Diggs this year, and we're going to have to pay Bland soon too. No.
Deron Bland is on a 2nd-year deal. We should be thinking about
this,
paying
but I'm just saying the Cowboys have shown, if there's anything they have shown, is even if you bleed blue for the boys and you get injured, they'll still pay you, even though they know they're getting a bargain deal for like Gallup.
But you can't use Deron Bland. Deron Bland, his contract's not up for another 2 seasons, so that you can't say pay Deron Bland.
Right, but
if we just stick it to Jalen Johnson,
we just paid Diggs. They're not going to pay. They're not going to give Jalen Johnson a blockbuster deal right after Diggs.
He's not. According to reports, he's not going to be requesting or looking for. His resume doesn't even ask for a top end deal. His resume, according to reports, is more in the $12 to $15 million range, and you can obviously make those jumps. So again, I hear pay.
Well, he's not the only one out there, though. So what I'm saying is,
I hear draft picks.
Devontae Adams.
I'm hearing front office right now from you, Akoye, and that's a little
draft
scary.
picks too. they don't give up draft picks either. That's the way the Cowboys do it. Like Jerry covets his draft picks. He's not trying to give up draft picks.
Yeah, that doesn't
So
make it right. But so what I'm getting at with the Jalen Johnson thing, how does a Jalen Johnson move? How is that looked at as a negative move where Jalen Johnson fortifies so when we're talking about the team being deep, yeah, the team being deep, but we weren't thinking of a Trayvon Diggs going down. So when Trayvon Diggs goes down, you obviously do have a hole at the cornerback position from a depth standpoint. So if you get a Jalen Johnson, now you can Bland can play inside or out.
So,
Bland
so
has
what
been
do we go get Ibenogany for? Like, if you have to develop the guys that you're going to get, like if you go and make a move, you wouldn't have made a move for a first round draft pick in Ibenogany, and then you're either saying that the coaches, either saying that the coaches can't develop for crap because
you don't develop a guy during the season like Ibenogany because he wasn't here during the offseason. Development is during the offseason. During the season, when you could play.
Either way, he's here. So he's here. So we have guys on this roster that need to step up and play.
Sure.
And Jalen Johnson coming in and playing. Could he play well? Sure. But do I look at the position? Are we getting productivity from the position? Are we struggling like we were when AB went down last year? No.
Sure.
At the corner position? No, we're not. So if I'm looking at the position itself and we're getting productivity from it at a very high level, you got a guy on a team playing in Jalen Johnson's position right now in Bland, who has 3 touchdowns, more than some of our wide receivers.
Sure.
Most of, or if not all our wide receivers, I think. That, to me, is not something I need to jump out the window on. Would Surtain or Jalen Johnson be attractive to me? Of course. I'm not saying that they're bums and I don't want them, but I don't think we need them. It's just something we wanted to do, that the fans wanted to do because we heard about it. Like the rumor sort of made people start looking at Jalen Johnson. I don't think the fans were saying, go out and get us a corner. It was, we hear Jalen Johnson might be here.
When Trayvon
and
Diggs went down, the very first thing everybody was talking about was looking at possibly adding a corner to the roster because Trayvon Diggs went down. If Jordan Lewis goes down, if no Ibenogany goes down, hell, even at the time, if Deron Bland had went down, you might not be thinking of it that way, but when your top guy goes down, yes. And we've had moments.
If Bland was dinged up now, or Bland had gone down, that trade would have made perfect sense. If Bland would have been hurt,
I think big picture,
if Gilly would have been hurt.
Look,
then I understand it.
Big picture, you use Jalen Johnson. I'm just thinking of Jalen. Big picture, Jalen Johnson would have been a fantastic move.
Of course,
because you talk about paying him. Yeah, now I got Jalen Johnson, Diggs, and Bland for the next 3 seasons. I mean, it goes even beyond this year. Also, this is why I hate to hear, I got to pay this person or I'm worried about this draft pick. Akoye Media, would you give a damn if you won a Super Bowl and Jalen Johnson balled out for you? You won't give a damn about no paying.
Nobody would care.
You don't care about no draft picks, man. You in the window right now, an opportunity in the NFC. In the NFC where you have the chance to do something, right? You have the chance to make your team better. There's nothing wrong with strengthening a strength or trying to add depth to what is potentially a weakness.
Yeah, we're arguing from 2 different positions. Like, I'm not saying that he doesn't make us better. I wouldn't say that at all. I never said that. I don't think that, going after any player in any position wouldn't make us better this year. What I'm saying is I like the guys that we have. I really do. I sound like the front office when I say that, but I like the guys that we have, and I want to see what they can do. And when I go through years where we have guys that I think have a lot of talent and that can play and that can ball, but due to politics or paychecks, they never get an opportunity here. I want to see that. So this forces our hand in that regard. So for me, that's what I'm looking at, and that's what I want to see. Now, to each his own. If you want to go and buy cell swords or mercenaries, I'm cool with that too. Like, it worked for the Rams. It worked for San Fran last year.
Tampa
it worked
Bay,
for the Rams. Yeah, they go out. They pretty much pay for a Super Bowl that particular year, and that seems to be the new trend versus building up homegrown guys. So I get the mindset there.
The Rams did that, but if you go look at most of these teams. The Rams paid a whole lot of money and went and signed a bunch of people, but they also have guys that are drafted on their team too. But it's not just about doing it strictly through home. You can't do it that way. Like that's just in today's game, you have to participate in free agency and trade department, right?
But we have brought in guys,
right? I'm not saying we haven't, but you said that teams. This is the thing. Yeah, this is the thing
That is
because
what
it's working, right? Like it's not just draft and develop; it's draft, develop, trade, and free agency. All three of those things.
We've done that aspect though. We've gone out and gotten guys that move the needle. Cooks
Well,
and Gilly have moved the needle. I know you said that was in the
that's in
offseason,
the off season.
but
That's totally
if you ain't
different.
hungry, don't eat. You know, you went out and got what you needed. You needed it. You got it. They're not hurt. Why are we still shopping?
And this is what's going to be crazy. Let's put a pin in this, right? Because last year, at the same very time, what were we saying we needed? Wide receiver 2, cornerback situation, right? And they were scared to pull the trigger. They went out and got Hankins. And that's what I thought the Cowboys were going to do. You said going out and getting kind of a mid-tier player doesn't matter. Hankins mattered. You know, Hankins absolutely mattered. And it didn't
Well,
cost
where
you
do you see a glaring hole that we needed to fill?
I could have
like
got a
we needed with
linebacker.
Hankins?
I could have got a
I don't think we need one.
I would have got
Rashawn
linebacker.
Evans to me is the linebacker that you needed.
Nothing wrong with more depth. Nothing wrong with more competition. Let's go see your best man win. If it's somebody
So
better,
you got.
if I can go get Al Aziz Shahir, I don't give a damn about no Rashawn Evans or what's his name. He's better than both of them.
Well, to me, if you look at the team the way we're constituted now, I hear everybody talking about what Bell's doing. I hear everybody talking about what Clark can be. I keep hearing everybody talking about what Rashawn Evans potentially can be, and then Micah Parsons moving around in the middle of the field. I don't look at that group that way and say, I need help. Not that, Fred Warner is better than all of them, but I don't look at that position and say I need help.
You're looking at it as a need.
That's how a trade is evaluated. Though.
No,
what
it's not.
Does the team?
No,
what
it's
does
not.
The team
the
need?
San Francisco 49ers didn't need to go out there and get Chase Young. The San Francisco 49ers saw an opportunity to get a young stud for nothing that could help propel them over the top, right? Philly in 2017 really didn't need to go get Jay Ajayi. They had running backs on the roster, but they went out and got Jay Ajayi. You know what I'm saying? The Rams didn't need to go get Odell Beckham Jr. They had a fantastic offense without Odell Beckham Jr. They went out and got Odell Beckham Jr. The Rams didn't need to go get Von Miller. They went out and got Von Miller. So it's not about need at this point. It's about need in the offseason. And that's where I was getting at. For the Cowboys, kudos for getting Brandon Cooks and for getting Gilmore. The problem is, for me, Akoye, it was reactionary. You should have pulled those triggers during the season, because what would have happened had you had a Brandon Cooks or a Stephon Gilmore during the season? Things could have potentially been different. But kudos for you. You understood those positions were a position of need in the offseason. You didn't know what your team was going to look like prior to October 2023.
I'm asking
now,
what do we need so bad that we?
It's not about
we
needing.
Jumped out
it's
the
not
window.
about needing. I'm not.
To me, it is.
It's not about needing for the Cowboys.
If you have a whole the way, regardless of how we feel, the Cowboys have moved the way they move. So when I speak from a realism standpoint.
Me
the
too.
way that our
That's
front office operates, they operate off of what they need. And if they need something, they will move. If they don't need it, they ain't moving. That's the way they have always moved under Jerry and over the last 20 years.
That doesn't make it right.
That's how I look at it.
That's fine. That doesn't make it right, is what I'm saying. This team, and I said that's why I prefaced it. This team, look, it's fine, right? You got a good roster. You still
so
go
you
out
think
there
that
and compete.
we're going to lose because we didn't go out and make a trade?
Did those words come out of my mouth, Cowboys Nation?
But I'm just saying, how could that be the wrong move?
Preface this whole thing with Cowboys are fine. Like in regards to they have
what
talent.
We talking about?
Cowboys have talent to go out there and compete. I said
so
that.
What we talking about?
So you hearing me out? The Cowboys have talent to go out there and compete. That could be true. The Cowboys not making a move at the deadline and you being frustrated, that can be true. Other teams going out at the deadline, all of the contenders really, and making moves to go out and you saying, damn, good for them, that can be true. There are a multitude of things that can be true at the same time. You don't have to be, as a Cowboy fan, back here like, man, we about to lose now because we ain't make a move. That's not what we're saying. But who in their right mind will be upset had you landed a Jalen Johnson, an Al Aziz?
That's not what we arguing,
things
though.
like that.
I'm not
arguing.
I would have welcomed Jalen Johnson,
right,
or Surtain, or Henry, or Devontae Adams. I would have welcomed them all. With
not Henry.
Any of them. I would have welcomed them all. With
when you
arms,
asked me about
they
the
all
players,
would make the team better.
When you asked me about the names of players, I gave you the two. I try to give you realistic names. Henry, Adams, bro, that ain't really working. I try to give you some realistic names that come here and help this team.
Right.
I gave you them.
They obviously wasn't that realistic because they was rumors. They was rumors. They didn't want them.
Shahir was me just saying a guy that I wanted. I don't even know if that was anything being talked about. The Jalen Johnson thing apparently was a fake rumor. I don't know what was going on with that. But no, I'm just saying.
We didn't want Jalen Johnson until someone told us we wanted Jalen Johnson. No one was like, can we please go get a corner? We were like, yo, y'all better leave 26 alone. That's what we've been talking about all week. Like, after
must
what
don't
we
be
said,
in my chat, bro.
you better leave Bland alone.
You must don't
but
be
we
in
wasn't
my
like,
chat.
let's go get us another corner. You know what I mean? We need one.
I'm
so
fighting
bad.
for my life for Jordan Lewis over here, man. They hate J. Lou, fam. What you talking about?
They hate what they can't understand. I understand that. J. Lou is playing okay. He's not playing great, but he's also not our number one corner either. If J. Lou was your top corner or your second corner, more of a problem. If you didn't have any depth that you trust behind J. Lou, that's a problem too.
You don't.
But
who you got behind J. Lou?
I trust Izzy. Y'all don't trust Izzy. I trust Izzy. I like Izzy.
Jalen Johnson.
I like Izzy as a corner. See, here we go. That's moving the goalpost.
Jalen Johnson.
I didn't say that Izzy's better than.
I'm sorry, not I didn't say Jalen Johnson or J. Lou.
Jalen Johnson over Gilly, in my opinion. So I like Jalen Johnson a lot. But that has nothing to do with me saying that I don't think that Izzy can develop into a good player. Izzy stepped up and did some things for us last year that I like. So I think Izzy can play. Now, they obviously think he can play too. That's why he's here. And that's why they didn't go get Jalen Johnson. If they looked at J. Lou and then said behind J. Lou it's a cliff and you fall off it, they probably would have jumped out the window for a corner. But I don't think they think that, and I don't think that either.
That actually goes against what you said. I don't think that's how they operate, because you said they'll go out and grab somebody at a position
if they need them.
Exactly.
I just said that. If
you don't
after J. Lou, there's a cliff.
Cornerback 5 as a need, bro. No one looks at that. Every cornerback 5 can be upgraded easily.
So you're saying the same thing. Our top 3 corners, do we need one?
I am a fan of J. Lou, but J. Lou wasn't your starter. Deron
Do
Bland
we
was.
need a corner in our top 3?
But you're asking it from your perspective. I'm not saying you're making a move for a need. The Cowboys have quality talent, but there's nothing wrong with adding more. I'm always about adding more dudes, Akoye. You'll never get me to say no to
I'm not disagreeing with
dudes,
that, though. I'm disagreeing with the idea that I should be upset about it. I'm not disagreeing with the idea that someone could have kept. That's what I'm saying. I said I wasn't upset because of my reasons. You said I'm coping. I'm saying no, I'm not mad about it.
Coping. Gotcha. So my whole preface in this whole entire thing was it is okay. You have to. You don't understand why other fans could have some frustration.
That's up to them.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't have to have it.
You don't have to, but I get it. Right? I 100% get it, and that's where I'm coming from. I get the frustration if they don't make the move. I also understand. All right, move's not made. We got to go. It's week 9. You got the Eagles. You have the talent to compete with these teams. These other teams also have the talent to compete with you, but they still made moves anyway. So I get why people could be frustrated. That's the whole thing.
Right.
I 100%.
I understand their frustration, but I also believe that we still are the deepest team in the league. I do. I don't think we're a top heavy team at all. The teams that we call top heavy, 49ers included, the ones that we're saying are top heavy because they've gone out and bought, players in certain positions, they are the ones that are making the moves right now as well. The ones that are sliding as well. Like San Fran has lost 3 games since they played us. Of course they need help. Of course they're going to be a lot more aggressive to go get that help because they don't want to lose the positioning that they already have. They've already been surpassed by Seattle. They can't play around right now. So I get their mindset.
So what about Seattle?
Ours.
What about Philly? What about Detroit? None of them are on 3-game losing streaks, and they got aggressive at the free agency market. You know what I'm saying?
Philadelphia just got roasted by Sam Howell after going to get Bayard. So they got roasted from Sam Howell for 400 yards and 4 TDs. So, of course, they need help, and they still need help.
But they got him before that, though.
And I said they needed help, and they still need it.
Right, but they
still got roasted.
7-1. They came off of a game.
Top corners.
They came off of a game where they beat the Miami Dolphins and shut down their passing offense and said we gonna go out here and we gonna get help. So you're sound like I'm settling. I'm settling.
That's not settling.
It is settling.
No,
I'm fine with what we have because we're 5-2 and we haven't lost 3 games in a row, Coier. Like, in my opinion, this is the perfect time to snap and say, you know what?
And do what?
All the teams or you, as you say, right? Like all these other teams are struggling or whatever and trying to keep up or whatever. Let's go make like pretty much with the Rams. Let's go make us even that much better. I would understand that move even more.
Since you feel that this is the perfect opportunity, right? The only bone that you fight over is Jalen Johnson. what else would you do? Who and do what? Where do we need someone that you would go after? And who would you go after?
Well,
And for what?
I'll concede to you about that.
Go
I'm not
ahead.
here about needs.
Who?
So I concede. I'm not here about
Who
needs.
would you go? Who would move the needle that you would go get?
I told you I like Azeez Al-Shahir. I talked about Hunter Renfrow potentially.
Did somebody
if you wanna
get? Did they trade Aziz Al-Shahir? Did anybody trade him?
Are you talking about people who were traded? I'm not talking about people who were traded.
Were they willing to trade him?
I don't know. Why you pick up the phone?
That's
bro?
my point. So it take two to dance. So I'm saying
Coier,
that was on a trade block or that was rumored
Akoye.
to be fished around, like a
Akoye.
Justin Simmons, like a certain, like who would you go get?
Akoye, we're not in there. We're just fans that are talking about what we want for the team, right? I don't know.
But
if
I'm
they picked
asking
up
you as a fan who you would like to bring.
I keep
that
telling
would have
you, and you keep
moved the
asking me the
needle.
same question.
Because I can't think of one
Al-Shahir,
either.
Jalen Johnson. We talked about Zach Ertz before, right, at tight end 2. We talked about Hunter Renfrow. Like, these are
I
guys.
like the Zach Ertz idea. I did like that
Right,
idea. But you also just drafted a second-round draft pick in Shoemaker.
So?
What is he? Are you going to find out what your second-round draft pick is if you go out and put an old Ertz in front of him?
A better player in front of him?
You're coming in the next year just as hungry as you were at tight end. After Hurts is gone, you still don't know what Shoemaker is. See what I'm saying? I want to know what he is. I do.
I don't care if I can get a better. That's
how do you know he's better? If the guy's not playing,
just quite literally, he is playing. I'm literally watching these two players. Ertz is a better player than Schoonmaker at this moment.
How many snaps does Shoemaker have?
He plays about 40% of the snaps.
I'm talking about he's in his rookie year,
and he's not better than Zach Ertz. I mean, that's
today.
Not difficult. Right, Coier, I'm not worried about next year. You understand? Like, I'm trying to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. And I think we have a team that can do that this year.
I don't disagree.
When have you seen in the history of the Cowboys, and you watching the Cowboys, when have you seen a team, any team that we've ever had that hasn't played the fourth quarter in 4 games of a year? When? And so if we're not a team that can win a Super Bowl this season, when we're doing something that I haven't seen us do, and Dak is starting to peak, if we're not a team that can win a Super Bowl right now the way we're playing right now, then we might as well hang it up. I haven't seen this. This is the best chance that I think we have to win a Super Bowl. Could a guy come in here and make us better? Of course. But am I going to be pissed off that we didn't go get a guy? No.
Perfect.
I'm not mad about it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad if we did it, but I'm damn sure not mad that we didn't.
And that's it. And that's it right there. Could we have went out and got somebody to make the team better? Yes. Are we mad about it? No. That's all we saying. That's all we saying, Cowboys Nation. It was, but that we just had to talk it out. At the end of the day, that's what it is. That's what it is. So let's go ahead and break down the game and that we need to win now. Now, turn the page. You ain't make no trades. You got the squad. You got the pieces. You're about to play a team that also has a squad and has the pieces as well. And we went out there and we studied them. And when I reached out to you, I said, you want to do their offense or defense? Because this is both heavyweight fights. These are both heavyweight fights. And I wanted to do the offense, and I'm glad you wanted to do the offense too. So what are some of the things that you are seeing in this Eagles team that we need to key on a little bit? Before we get to the film, because the film is going to break down these things from a detailed standpoint, but from a macro standpoint, what are some of the things you're seeing on the film?
You definitely got to limit the deep ball however you can, because they read the field deep to short. And they try to bait you into, stepping down and bringing your guys down short by doing a lot of runoff plays. So they'll do a lot of runoff plays where it'll be, all goes, and then they'll do a block and release with their tight end, things like that, or a block and release with the running back. And that's sort of like how they kind of make up for their lack of running ability right now, because they're not running. So they do some West Coast stuff short that kind of brings guys down close to the line of scrimmage. Hopefully they get you to blitz in. They try to get you pressing or playing near the line of scrimmage so that they can get behind you. I think we have to be disciplined against this team because Hurts has a great deep ball. He reads the field deep to short, especially on the left side of the field. So I think that, it's obvious that the AJ matchup is going to be something that you have to pay attention to because of the amount of attention that they're paying to him. Since that Minnesota game where he and Jalen had their little spat on the sideline, obviously he's been over 125 yards a game since then. And Devontae Adams hasn't had a 100-yard game since then. So I think that shift is something that you have to pay attention to. You have to stop or limit AJ Brown the best way you can, and you also have to keep Hurts moving his feet, because if he's set, they run a lot of quick one read type plays where there's no one running out other
He
than maybe
locks
that one
on,
guy.
bro.
Yeah, but that's why they can mitigate that with the fact that the whole play is designed for him to lock onto this one guy anyway. So instead of asking him to get through progressions on those short reads, he automatically knows where he's supposed to go with the ball, because there's a rub or a block based off of the releases of those receivers that's around him. You know, there's a rub or a block that's already set for that bubble screen or that smoke screen. You know what I mean? So that's what they do. They run a lot of that type of stuff close, and then they'll try to take the lid off after the fact. That's really what they're doing. And their run game now, although they still have the offensive line, they're a little beat up, and their run game is not as solid as it has been. I think due to the fact that they are basing more of an emphasis on being a passing offense. So the run is more like they pass to set up the run rather than running to set up pass. But you can see in the third quarter, in games where they're struggling, they still will try to revert back to their hard-nosed tactics in the third quarter. Usually they go hard ball control third quarter, like we do. We did that to the Rams, actually. We held the ball for like the entire quarter, but they do that as well. So that's what I see. And the pattern with Jalen, the things that give him trouble are when you force him to actually make intermediate throws. He's not an intermediate thrower, and he's not a guy that gets through a lot of progressions, because he really hasn't needed to. Like when he's going after AJ, he'll throw it in double coverage and elect the tougher throw over an intermediate throw like 9 times out of 10. He'll have Goddard or Devontae peeling off in the middle of the field, and he'll still throw it to AJ double teamed, but AJ's just making those plays. When you look to the left side of the field, and you'll see this in the film, that's where that's his favorite spot to throw deep. Like he does throw deep all over the field, but the left side with him and AJ is their bread and butter. So that's why I said the Bland matchup, because I don't think we're going to move Bland around or Gilly around and follow AJ, but they like to put AJ on that left side and take deep shots with him. And 14 shots, 15 shots a game sometimes. So go ahead. I welcome that. Yeah. I want you to throw 10 balls at Bland, please. I really hope you do. So, you might get him. I'm not going to front. You might get him once or twice. You might get him, but he going to get you too. He going to get you too. So I hope they do that.
From a run game standpoint, because, when you hear about the Eagles, you think about their run game for real, initially, until you realize, I think things have flipped now. I think what makes them dangerous is the A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts deep connection. Is potentially you forget about Jalen or you forget about AJ Hurts. Now you got Devontae Smith who can do some things to you. But if you can make them one-dimensional, that will obviously help. And you talked about it. You hit the nail on the head. They aren't the same right now. From the start of the season, they were averaging, and it may be because they lost Cam Jurgens. I don't know. But since Cam Jurgens has won out, they've only been averaging 99 yards and 3.4 yards per carry. Before he went out, they were averaging like 165 yards and close to 5 yards per clip. So, they're struggling on the ground.
And Lane Johnson's kind of dinged up too.
Who's that?
Lane Johnson's dinged up too.
Yeah. Lane and D-Log gonna have some battles. I like watching them.
Yeah,
I like watching them. Yeah.
And
Swift got off to a hot start. He's not really, doing so great. He's averaging like 3.5 yards per carry since week 3 and only 53 yards on the ground. And I think when you combine the Cam Jurgens injury, I think the other one that might be killing a run game right now, hurting it, is that Hurts is not a threat right now to run the rock.
There you go. So those RPOs ain't as scary. He's running. They just try not to do the design stuff as much with him.
There you go.
He's scrambling when he has
RPOs are there. They still RPO is run pass option. So it's either hand it off, pull it, or throw it. The read options are really what's not there right now at this point. Last year, Jalen Hurts ran a lot. He had, I believe it was 4 rushes, design rushes over 15 yards on the season. He ain't got none right now. None. Right. And last year, I think he had, in just about every game, it felt like, he had a 10-yard rush. This year, that's not the case in every single game. So, maybe it's the injury. Maybe, he wants to be more of a passer. I don't know. But since that Rams game, he's just not moving around the same. So if he ain't moving around the same, here's what I would say. I mean, I'm not saying completely abandon him, Akoye. We kind of had this conversation back in the green room about what to do with Micah. Mm-hmm. But do you tend to ignore him running, or do you say, you know what, I'll let you get one and then I'll just rock you, right? Because that's what happened last year. I don't know if you remember that game in Philly. He got hit, bro. He got hit early, and he kind of was a little rattled. And their offense didn't really tee
Is
off.
going to be on him. You know that
Yeah.
already. So I think he's going to run. It's not about letting him run. He's going to do it regardless if you let him or not. Yeah, he's going to do it. So I think that the way you approach it, though, you still have to keep an eye on him because he can extend drives where you're doing a great job, containing everything on the back end. You don't want to let him extend drives because that's what they'll do. He'll have drives where he doesn't look that good, but he'll run, get you a first down, do some one read stuff, and then boom, big play. But they tried maybe 4 or 5 deep shots on that drive, right? And they only need to hit one. But to keep the drive going, he's running to keep the sticks moving so that he can get more opportunities to push the ball downfield. So you definitely have to stop him or limit his ability to get out there and extend drives. You're not gonna completely stop a guy that has that athleticism. He's gonna spill out there once or twice this game. It's about not letting it become big plays.
And that's what they like, bro. It's funny because this happened to me last year going to look at their offense. I was expecting to go in there and see all this movement, all this. And I'm just like, it's not really complicated offense. But you talked about pushing the ball deep. This is the third consecutive quarterback that I like to call pusher man, meaning they throwing that rock deep. You had Herbert, you had Matthew Stafford, and now you got Jalen Hurts, who I believe is second in the NFL in 20-plus yard attempts. So they looking to throw it, man. Brian Johnson, their first year offensive coordinator, he's dialing up the concepts. You see it on film. It's a lot of deep shots, man, just a lot of deep stuff. And Hurts wants to go deep, and if he locks on, as you'll show in the film, if he locks on to AJ, bro,
he ain't coming off.
He ain't coming off. He giving him a shot.
Yeah. He ain't coming off it. And that's how they run their offense because they're putting that on tape on purpose. They're taking the deep shots because they know you're going to have to come in preparing to stop the deep stuff so that they can open everything up underneath because they don't have any, like you said, there's no real complex stuff going on underneath with their short and intermediate pass game. But when you're running guys off all day, it's nothing but space and opportunity underneath. So there's not even a read to be had. He doesn't have to read short. It's open because they're check downs or a block and release.
Perfect example. There was a check down play against Washington. Like you said, they running all these routes deep. The linebacker knows this, and he's like, man, I'm turning around hauling ass. And then the running back just turned around, checked down, got like 15 yards first down. So
you saw one with Gainwell. That play with Gainwell was designed. They ran all goes. They knew that they were going to cover that a certain way. They were playing cover 4. There was nothing open up, deep, and immediately Hurts waits for Gainwell to spill out, and he hits him. He does it with Swift too, but they'll just do a hook right in front of Hurts' face, and because those linebackers are trying to get back, they always have that room for that, and that's how they create it by running you off. So they're really, you could say they have some West Coast stuff going on underneath, but it's not really West Coast concepts. It's just we're running like a running gun, all go, vertical offense. And then, underneath underneath we got some wide open guys because of that, not because of the concepts underneath. Even though they do some rub concepts and stuff like that, they actually had a play I did like though, and we'll see it in the film. You'll see how that concept actually helps. Like all those little bubble screens and smoke screens, when they'll run them so often they'll lull you to sleep, and then AJ will kind of fake one. And he'll put his foot in the ground and just go. And that's why sometimes you're like, how is AJ that wide open on certain plays? Because he looks like he's blocking and then he'll peel off. And that's a design play because you'll look at what everybody else is doing on the play. And they all know all their routes are underneath. And then there'll be a guy like Julio or Smith will run the safeties out of the box, and it's like the Red Sea will part. Like they're either guarding short and deep, and then in the middle of the field it just opens wide up, especially when you're running zone. So they're good at it. Him and AJ obviously have good chemistry, but it's not like he's just straight routing guys up or anything like that. Their concepts are designed to create openings like that. Yeah,
he's just quite literally just beasting.
He's a monster, man. Like he's a different kind of guy.
He's playing at a high level, and I hate that he has that logo on his helmet because from a football fan standpoint, man, you watch him play and you're like, man, that's fun to watch, but not with that logo on the helmet. But interesting with Jalen Hurts going deep, he'll attempt a whole bunch of them, but he's been middling with the results. So he's 15th in the league in completion percentage, where we just played a guy, Matt Stafford, who was top 5 when he threw it deep. So, Hurts will throw him, he'll likely just throw him the hell up, and it feels like YOLO balls. And sometimes he'll the pretty one every once in a while though. It'll get there. But he throwing a lot of, hey, I'm just throwing this thing up, or somehow, some way, I don't know. This happened against the Vikings. It happened against the Washington football people. Dudes just break open. They're just coverage, blown coverages, and now you got Devontae Smith just wide open for a 40-yard touchdown walking. But he's an 88.9 passer rating when they throw deep. That's not great. That's bottom half of the league. He's second in interceptions when he throws deep. That's not great, right? So there will be opportunities, and it'll be interesting to see because Bland hasn't really been tested deep like that. Gilly really hasn't been tested deep like that. The times where the Cowboys secondary has been beat or tested or on deep overs or on, some quick slants or things like that. But they ain't really been tested on a bunch of go balls because you know why? Teams realize we ain't got time.
You ain't got that kind of time.
We ain't got time
to be trying to do that all day. Yeah.
But this team, they are going to play their brand of ball. They believe in that offensive line, and they believe that their receivers will win. So this is going to be a fun heavyweight matchup. Another thing I noticed on him, Akoye, was very much like that. Jalen will get to the line of scrimmage, and he wants to find out what you in. So he'll give you that fake cadence, and if he sees you fake blitzing, he does a really good job getting into the right play and freeing up 9 times out of 10 is A.J. Brown. So if you show him early, so you cannot show, but if you show your hand early, he'll usually get you in the play that he likes. So you got to be patient on this, and we'll talk about being disciplined. You got to be patient with the post-snap stuff with these boys because they'll show you one thing just to get something off of it. So something else I noticed, much like Dak. Dak likes to, here we go, the first time, and now you showed your blitz, and now Dak's at the line of scrimmage killing you with something.
Right.
All right, let's go ahead and hit this. Make sure I got this pulled up right, though. Let's get into the film room so you can break down everything. Now, if this film act funny, y'all, I do have it on my end, so just be patient. Let's see here. Here we go, Coier.
Boom. Well, we just talked about it. Like this misdirection play I put in there because this one was giving us hell for some reason last year. But when we get caught in man, bringing AJ across the line of scrimmage, it's not just AJ. They run it with everybody. They just take turns doing it from different formations. But running it behind the line of scrimmage like this, that RPO look, it definitely gives us problems. And it gave us problems last year. That's why I put it in there. But they use this as like a running play because they don't have the same running game, but this is like their version of it. Like that's why I said it's sort of like West Coast where they'll throw the ball to a guy it's automatically, designed that way. Like this is a rub concept in the middle of the field with the tight end and then on the bottom of the screen as well. And then they have a go route on the backside. And I put this in here because Jalen will have these rubs that are open and he'll elect to take the more difficult throw 9 times out of 10 anyway. He doesn't take these easy throws, and I don't know why he doesn't do it. He doesn't even bother looking down at the bottom of the screen at any of the other stuff that's going on. He immediately must have liked what he saw at the top of the screen, and he just went right after it. So he does that a lot. So you'll see where guys will be breaking open, and you're like, well, why is this guy so wide open? Jalen's not even looking over there. He's looking deep. So they read the field deep to short, and that actually works in our favor because even when you miss a coverage short, you can kind of make up for it because he's still going to push the ball out there even if that guy's not open. You know what I mean? You'll see like here, they run everybody off. That tight end's open. Jalen is looking to the left side at AJ, who's double teamed the whole way, and then he gets the pressure and runs. But you see Goddard was open from the start right in front of his face. But he was staring down AJ that whole time. I didn't get a good look at the backside of that. I didn't put a good view of that in there. But you could see AJ was double teamed the whole time. So I don't even know why what he was waiting to see, but he was staring at it. But here's the quick stuff that I'm talking about. And we're good at coming downhill. So is Gilly. Gilly and Bland are good at that.
Like, does a good job too.
Yeah. And then, we have the guys to deal with this type of stuff. But this is what they do to create space and to get like quick, easy, move the chains type stuff going on. But we're good at that type of stuff. But as you can see, these are not routes. You know what I mean? These aren't routes. You know what I mean? There's blocking. They're both wide receivers are blocking so that they can get those little bubble screens and smoke screens going. And that's all they really do short. They don't do a lot of, normal concepts like slants and combination routes, things like that. Washington elected to blitz him a lot because of what Flores was able to do, the trouble that he was giving them when he was blitzing in that Minnesota game, and they put that on tape. A lot of teams have been trying to blitz him now, and I think that's a mistake because when you have a guy who wants to push the ball deep, you want to take that away from him. And Washington gave him way too many opportunities, in my opinion, because they kept blitzing him. They kept blitzing him over and over again, and they're not getting there as often as they would like. They weren't pressuring him either. Like you can see, when they're blitzing him, he's still back there able to just wait, load up, and throw. That one he moved his feet and he missed that guy, short. But he's reading deep to short, and then those guys are wide open underneath because Washington kept blitzing him. On this play here, this is another opportunity for you to pay attention to the fact that he'll take the more difficult throw over the easier one. Like that drag is what it's designed to do. That play is designed to open up that drag, and you see how much space there is for him to run. And then they're running all posts on the rest of the field. He still throws the ball to AJ anyway. You know what I mean? So he'll elect to take the more difficult throw over the easier one almost every time. And like I said, you're gonna pay for that sometimes, but it will work in our favor, I think, in this defense. This is the one where I said they fake it. So they'll lull you to sleep with all of the smoke screen stuff, and then they'll run something like this. So AJ runs at this corner like he's about to block. Then he puts his foot in the ground, and you see it's going to part like the Red Sea right here. Boom. So Julio ran off the safety and those corners up top. Those curl routes underneath are holding the linebacker in the corner on the opposite side. And now you see a lane open up where AJ's just wide open. And I was like, how? I kept looking at that play like, how is he this wide open? How do you forget that he's over there? And that's how they forgot. It's because he acted like he was going to block and then ran out. But they're going to throw the ball to AJ all day. So I said that, 11 on the left side equals deep ball. When you see him lined up over there with Bland, you're going to get these type of opportunities. And I think that AJ's ball skills are top notch. But as we already know, Bland, since he's been in the league, leads the league in interceptions. So I know this will be a matchup that we all want to watch. We're all paying attention to. And it's going to be, one for the ages because he's going to do it. It's not like he has a ability or a tendency, should I say, to come off of that and read other progressions. Like there's stuff going on everywhere else. Those guys know he's just taking a shot. Double teamed or not, he's taking a shot. And that wasn't a fluke game. He did this against the Jets. He did it against everybody. And it's always the left side where they make those big plays. You see there was a receiver running wide open on that one. He still throws to AJ no matter what. Here you got a bubble screen on the opposite side of the field. He still elects to throw deep on the opposite side of the field anyway. So when those things come open, he's not even looking at them. He's still looking to push the ball down the field no matter what is going on, even though there was a whole lane opened up for Swift on that opposite side of the field if he would have hit that. And you see here is another one read play. So they'll run this type of stuff to get you, quick, like I said, first downs. But if they're not doing these one reads, that's the only time he will throw short is when he knows there is nothing deep coming on this play. There's nowhere to throw deep because there's no route being run. Like these are quick screens, but these constitute, when you look at his stats, they'll constitute as, they'll be like he's 300 yards, but a lot of his yards are, the two bombs he might connect on. And then the rest of it is these screens. He misses this one because Goddard drops it, and it ends up in Quentin Williams' hands.
They aren't running a bunch of them anymore this year. They're only at 8%, but if they do, they're pretty good at them.
Yeah, well, these little bubble screens and smoke screens, I guess they're not counting them, but those rub routes, they're not counting them as screens, but they do that. They put those in there a lot. Like those one-man routes are there. They just don't look like they're one-man routes because guys are doing certain things to get guys open. But it's sort of like us. Like we'll have concepts where you see AJ there, left side of the screen again, but we'll have concepts where we'll have a guy that's just running a guy off. He's not really running a route though. He's running to rub. So I still counted those as like it's just an interference play, not a screen, but an interference. Yeah. They run a lot of that. So once he locks on, he's not coming off. He locked on, and because of that,
crazy,
I think he gets sacked on this one though. But he'll once he locks on, he's not coming off of that, even if other guys are peeling open. And if he does, it's because he extended it with his feet. So I think our pass rush can actually get to him because he locks on so much. and he doesn't read the field as much as you would like a quarterback to at this stage. He can push the ball deep though, so you gotta be able to take away the deep ball early, get them behind early, and they have the ability to come back in games because of the way they're built. But I think we can pressure them a lot more if we get him behind early. But that left side of the field is going to be one to watch, because whenever you see 11 over there, they are going deep. And that's what they're designed to do. That's what they did in 5 games that I watched. That's what they're doing. They put 11 on the left and they go, and AJ and Hurts, they must have chemistry to that side of the field, because that's where he likes to throw the ball.
Yeah, and he makes some fantastic throws, but he also makes some hero throws, and it's going to be ops, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be ops. I wonder if the Washington football people blitzed him as much as they did, because he's had about 5 picks when you throw the blitz at him. But that's the risk you take, right? Because if you run that blitz and you don't get there, you better have
when you can get there with 4 or 5, you can blitz one.
Yeah,
just don't go 6 or 7 at. Don't zero blitz them. Bring an extra guy, bring a nickel guy at him. Bring one linebacker at him. Put Mike in the middle, blitz him from the A gap that way with one guy. So I don't mind that. If you're gonna bring 5, put Mike in the middle, bring 5, and put Sam or Fowler on the outside. That's cool. But don't bring 6 or 7, because you're giving them too many opportunities to get that ball deep.
We was talking about Mike in the middle behind the scenes. I would love to see Micah against Jason Kelce rushing, Like, I know Kelsey's all pro or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But the quickest way to the quarterback.
Up the A gap.
Up the A gaps, man.
It's going to be a good game for Micah. Like, Micah and Evans should have big games this game.
I don't know if you peeped this, man. They didn't run the ball well against Washington, but they DTs was kind of bullying their interior guy. Like, their DTs was making things difficult. It wasn't just clean pockets or clean windows for Hurts. He had to move around a little bit, but they couldn't close that pocket enough to sack him a bunch. But
when you think about containing, right, you don't want Micah having to contain a guy like Hurts. You want him to be able to hunt. He can't hunt from the edge against Hurts, because if he goes after him, he's gonna replace that. Hurts is gonna get out to that same gap. That if he misses or he comes too wide, Hurts is running onto that side of the field. You want 4 guys containing, and you want Micah blitzing in the middle of the field, because those guys are collapsing the pocket, and then he can get upfield all he wants. Mike can get upfield all he wants from the A gap, because it doesn't matter. Whereas if you bring him from the outside, you kind of limit his aggression, both on the read options, the RPOs. He has to break down and kind of calm down on those plays from the outside. Whereas from the middle, he can do what he wants. So I think that if they play Micah the way they played Micah in the Rams game, where he had a lot of looks from the middle, even though he was in the middle of the field, he was technically playing linebacker. He wasn't off ball still. So if they play him that way in this game, I think we'll give Hurts a lot of problems.
Yeah, his off ball box numbers technically are starting to increase. It was 8 2 weeks ago. This past week it was 15. So we'll see if it'll be hovering around that. But like you said, I think you might have to look at that a certain way. Only a handful of those he's really off ball. The other times he's basically coming blitzing. Yeah,
but from the middle, it's like a center cannot deal with Micah. And if you double team him, then where does that leave a guy like Osa? If you double team him, where does that leave a guy like D-Law and Fowler? They're playing half a man if you have to pinch left to right with Micah, because he has a 2-way go against the center. Center can't block him. So you got to help him. And if you're helping that center, then those guys on the outside and those interior guys are going to eat. So, or you have to leave guys in like your tight ends and all that in to help. But we don't have to bring our linebackers and the rest of our linebackers and our safeties to bring that type of pressure. We can do that with 5. So even if those tight ends and those running backs are staying in to block and release, they're releasing to a guy that's waiting for him anyway. And so I think that those 7 guys that are back there, are those 6 guys that are back there, they're still going to be in position to make a play on that short stuff and the deep, even when Mike is coming. That's the difference between us and everyone else. When they come, they gotta bring both their linebackers to bring the type of pressure that Mike can bring by himself.
The next factor in this game to me, and it's going to refer to some of the plays you showed me, Marquise Bell.
Yeah,
we go back and look at that game against Philly. Really, both games, for being honest. But I'm just talking about with Hurts.
Right.
The linebacker situation and even the safeties for the most part, they'll come out and tell you it wasn't our best game. We weren't disciplined, et cetera, et cetera. Different situation happened in Dallas, but in that game, it was a lot to do with what you said, the misdirection and playing with your eyes, and really the speed and athleticism to make up for it. LVE was in that game. He won't be in this game. I think you'll have a little bit more athleticism between Clark, between Evans and Marquise Bell and Micah if he's playing some. But the reason why I bring up Bell, because we talk about this in backstage, and I want to talk about the Eagles' split zone. You showed a couple plays where they'll run that. It feels like to me that's their running game. It's split zone, and they'll run different variations off of it. I'm going to show a few plays here. They like to do a combination block and get to the second level with that tight end on the backside taking care of that defensive end, and they'll gladly take 5 yards, right? This is what they'll do. And if it doesn't work, they'll use it to set up something like this where they'll play action it, and they'll get that backside tight end, which is Goddard 9 times out of 10, on the play action, and boom, a quick pass, like you said, one read up the field. And it doesn't have to be Goddard. It can be Goddard. It can be their second tight end. It can be any of the wide receivers. Hell, it could be another running back if they throw it out there. But they like to get that going with A.J. Brown too. And you showed that play in your film study, and this was the play right here where they'll have a split out wide on the other side and A.J. Brown coming across with the same zone split play action read. It's something that the Cowboys should be familiar with, but the new offensive coordinator, Brian Johnson, he's running it a bit different. And here's the play against the Cowboys last year on 4th down. It's a zone read, fake split, play action, and they get A.J. Brown wide open for the first down. And they also scored on this. They realized that it worked, and they scored on it later on in the red zone.
Against J-Lou. J-Lou couldn't get over there.
Yeah, it happened to both. Diggs couldn't get over the
Diggs
top.
Diggs got caught on that too,
Couldn't get over the top, and they realized it. So I'm wondering if we do a little bit more what they call pulling the chain against things like that. Instead of following the guy over, or instead of completely following him over, we bump it out, right? Like, or we want to say pulling, pushing, whatever you want to call it. Because if when we like to run man, Akoye, if we run that single high man variation all game, and they catch you with it because they like to do the motion, it's tough. It's really, really tough to deal with because you got to get across the trash, and next thing you know, pop, and it go from a 3-yard cross line of scrimmage completion to a 15, 20-yard or to a touchdown. So this is why I say a guy like Bell could be really, really important, because can you get out of the way? Can you make that read and just go off of instincts? Because, one thing that I think it was Micah said, if you're going to be wrong at 110%, because you might be right on your way to being wrong. So
right.
Don't be hesitating. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, go 110 miles an hour.
Go 110.
With your hair on fire, and I'll take it.
I'll live with it. You know what I'm saying? But if I see you pity pattering around and you're confused, it's a wrap, because guess what they're going to do? Mouse in the house. That's the one.
Yeah, that's how you deal with a athletically superior team or defense. Like we got athletes that can run to the ball, but when you make them think, they have to stop. So it doesn't matter how fast you are when you're standing still. You know what I mean? Tortoise in the hair type thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think you're right. And what I've seen teams do to try to mitigate that, when they see that motion coming across, they'll widen out that end. But it's hard for an end to consistently get in the way of that. So it depends on how many times they run it. But we saw Micah had actually on one of them last year. I can't see your film. You might have put it up. But we saw Micah last year actually in position to either reroute or, press that AJ coming across the screen and help his guy out, help him catch up. So the defensive ends can help with that.
You can push him, man.
You can either get in his way, push him, or just rush upfield rather than crashing inside right away. If you do that, you might have an opportunity to slow it down a little bit and help you guys out. I've seen guys do it. But that's not how our scheme is run. So it's probably going to be Bell and Clark having to try to get over the top of that and help out.
And if they do it like they did
playing zone,
if they do it like they did against Washington, where again you didn't see my film, but in Washington's film, Devontae Smith was out wide, outside the numbers, so that actually creates a lot of space for that other safety. So say you're in too high, that safety can cheat up. Maybe that'd be Hooker, maybe that'd be Curse, whomever it is on that side. They have space to crash down and allow that man, that A.J. Brown, defending A.J. Brown, to get over. That's what happened, right? The safety came down, got in A.J. Brown's way. A.J. Brown missed a tackle, but he only got a 2-3 yard gain because it allowed his guys to rally.
And they also were playing zone, so they were staring it right down. If it's the same play we're talking about.
Yeah, it was a too high man situation where the guy followed A.J. Brown because it was man.
Oh, so that was a man one. Okay,
but the safety really didn't have any responsibilities because of the numbers, right? They weren't double teaming Devontae. Devontae was outside, and your cornerback was back. And again, this is what I mean by instinct. Sometimes you just got to play off instincts. Maybe that safety was like, you know what? I see what's happening. I read the film. I'm going. You know, I'm just gonna count on my cornerback to make it. But if
you're
you
gonna
go,
have to guard him, you got
guard.
Devontae. I'm going. Yeah.
So I'm not saying play hero ball. I'm not saying that. No. But there are times though where you just have to be instinctual if you're good enough to do it.
Unfortunately, that stuff does like the one thing that we don't like about J-Lu, I think, is that one. Like J-Lu can cover the stuff deep. He can cover, outside crossers. Everybody struggles against crossers, but when you see that jet sweep or that motion, man, that split motion, it's like it's like he jogs. I'm like, why are you jogging?
Did you watch him in the Rams
there.
game? I bet you they got on his ass in that Chargers game, because if you watch the Rams game, he was hauling ass.
Okay, I'm like, why are you jogging? Ain't nobody over there, bro.
No, he was hauling ass in the Rams game, bro.
Yeah.
But against the Chargers, because they probably went to the film room and was like, bro, why you can't jog here, right? You got to match that energy. But what I was getting at was if you watch the Washington game, they in that same formation with the split zone play action with A.J. Brown coming behind line of scrimmage, they had Devontae Smith out wide, and that created all that space. But against the Cowboys, it was a much more condensed split. So when you condense that split and you send Devontae Adams kind of basically like a pick route, right? That's what happened. Yeah. You send Devontae Adams, act like I'm going out for a route.
You freeze the linebacker and the safety.
And that guy, whoever has A.J. Brown, has to run through traffic. So I wonder, and if an Eagle fan
it happened to Diggs.
That happened to Diggs. And Eagle fans, I know from what I have seen, at least on the internet streets, they were kind of conflicted on offensive coordinator Brian Johnson. I don't think this offense has changed completely. I just think they're doing things out of different looks.
They're just calling the plays differently,
And it's not they're not doing them out of the same looks and variations. That's play specifically. I didn't see him run it one time against Washington, but they did it 3 times against Dallas, and it was successful all 3 times. So I'm hoping they don't go back and see that what Shane Steichen did, and they decide to use that play, because we struggle.
They're going to do it.
We struggle to do it. I hope not.
But that I hope they do, because that would show you that our coaches are scouting themselves. Like if you know that this is how a team succeeded against you, then hopefully they attack you that way again. You have an answer for it if they're dumb enough to go to that well again. And if we still can't stop it, that's a problem, because that's what killed us last year. So why wouldn't you? You should be able to have an answer for that. If you're Dan Quinn, you have to have an answer for that.
This is a measuring stick game, because these are the type of post snap things that you've been struggling with in the two losses, Coier.
Right.
The Cardinals killed you with the post snap action, playing with your linebackers and safeties. The San Francisco 49ers, I mean, they just toyed with you when it came to their. Now the Niners, I think, are much more complicated concepts after the snap. But nonetheless, if I can just hold your linebacker for a second, we talk about all the time. Now I can get Goddard on the over. Now I can get AJ on the over. But they're not necessarily doing what the Niners did. So I think if you can come out here and have success against the Eagles' offense, that will instill confidence if you got to run into something like that later on.
Right.
Which could be them later on, or we'll see what happens with the Niners. I mean, look, I don't even know they're going to make the playoffs at this goddamn point. They're on the 3-game sled. So we'll see what happens there. All right, we at that point in the show where we're going to get the hashtag Ask Akoye, and we'll answer a few of these questions. But look, I'm already looking in the chat here. Yes, J. Lou had to list Frank, not ACL. They must be having conversations in the chat. But yeah, look, I think a lot of people came out that game against the Rams to kind of get back on the J. Lou thing and looked at that touchdown that J. Lou gave up. But I promise you, go watch him against Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua.
He was doing a great job against Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was almost non-existent.
He's locked.
You know what I mean?
He was locked.
Done.
He lined up.
Did a great job.
I think he lined up on him. Foots is in the building. I don't know, about 10 to 12 times. 3 targets, 1 reception, 5 yards. Puka Nacua, I think he gave up 1 reception, or no receptions actually. I don't think he gave up a reception to Puka Nacua at all.
Right.
And it was that play to Squirrel Neck, is what we call him, Skowronek, who got the touchdown. Everybody was like, "Oh, J. Lou sucks."
That was a good dig. Like he sold the seam route very well, and then pushed off and got the dig. Like, it's going to happen, but the difference between J. Lou giving that up and a guy like Boss Man, who used to give up 1, Boss Man would be in for like 3 snaps and give that type of stuff up. J. Lou was playing an entire game and played good most of the game. So
J.
when he
Lou was
gave that
live.
up, I wasn't mad at him when he did it. You know what I mean? And the timing of it wasn't a pivotal moment where it was like, hey man, we needed this too. So I
Right,
wasn't
right.
I wasn't that pissed off about that.
And I wonder what the responsibility was for J Rock, because it seemed like J. Lou was giving in the inside, and J Rock was kind of just frozen.
Yeah, he
a bit
played outside leverage the whole
the whole
way.
way,
So
and J
he
Rock was in the
wasn't
middle of
over
the
the
field.
top. He didn't stack. I think he would have stacked over that or sprinted under it if he'd have known he doesn't have inside help. So he did play that outside leverage. So you might be right about that too.
Yeah.
Somebody was supposed to help him inside, most likely.
That's what it felt like. That's what it
Mhm.
felt like. Foot said, "How confident are you in Duran being able to get up there on those jump balls with AJ?"
I mean, we're gonna have to find out because,
I
like you
know.
said, the Ron hasn't had a
Ain't
lot
been
of
asked to do that.
stuff he had to do deep, But it'll be a good test to see what else he has. Because Duran, anything short or horizontal with Duran, I'm loving what he does. If you try to those stop routes, things like that, he's jumping it. So I don't think they're gonna throw many of those. They're gonna try to test him deep and see what his hand called for in the deep ball. But he is physical, I can say that. So AJ is very physical at the top of routes. And I think that is what was giving guys like Ford and those guys problems when you play him is he'll get to the top of the route and he pushing off and he'll beat you up and you complain. Ford just sitting there complaining like, yo, what you want me to do? Even that play, that pass interference against, I think it was, I don't know if it was Full, I don't know who it was St. Juice. But that pass interference at the top of the screen, I don't think it was a pass interference, but AJ looks to get that, to draw that contact. Yeah, he's trying to draw contact. He's giving you a forearm or he's going to fight with you. And I think both Bland and Gilly can deal with that. They're strong guys. They're strong, stout corners. I think the speed stuff kind of gives Gilly some problems, but Bland can deal with that. So it's going to be a good matchup. And I'm not saying a guy playing the way he's playing, you're not going to just totally shut him down, but you're going to mitigate it. I don't think he's going to go off on Bland the way he has been. And if he does, then that'll be a sight to see. But Foots, to your question, how do I think he can jump with him? I haven't seen him have to, but he has good length. They're the same height, and they're both, 6'1", 6. I think he's 6'1". AJ 6'1". Bland is 6'1", 6'2"-ish. So he got good height and good length. I think he can deal with it. Plus, getting in position to jump is what he has to do. And
Yes.
AJ and Bland is physical at the top of routes as well. So I don't think you're going to be able to push off as easy or get into the positions that he wants to get into to get those looks, even if Hurts is still launching it up there. And the other thing we're not talking about is when you look at what Daniel Jones was trying to do, I think there was a play where Hooker was on the opposite hash and his interception against Daniel Jones, he sprints all the way across the field and makes that play. Hooker is going to have
Zach Wilson,
a good game. It was Zach Wilson?
Yeah, I didn't talk about.
Oh, okay. It was a Jets game. Okay, but yeah, Hooker is going to have a good game too because he can get sideline to sideline. He just hasn't had to because we haven't played teams that are trying to throw the ball up the field vertical deep like that. So it's not just can Bland stop AJ. It's are you crazy enough to still throw into double teams when you see Hooker coming over the top of that? And if you are, I like our chances. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
That's the other thing. Do you have time to do it? Yeah. And if we're taking away our limiting some of that short stuff that they like to do, but like you saw that was a touchdown where they threw a smoke screen. I think it was I don't know who it was to. It was either Nakua or Cup, but Bland, it was a third down play.
Fantastic tackle.
Bland cut under it and tore him up. If he catches that ball, there's nothing else. There's nobody else over there that can stop him. So if we're limiting that short stuff, then we're forcing Hurts to be one-dimensional, and he only can go deep. And then that plays into our pass rush and our secondary. So I think this matchup is good for it's just going to be a good matchup because it's strength on strength. It's strength on strength. Our strengths match up with what they like to do, and we're going to see who comes out on top of this game.
For the question at hand, it's a TB. We don't know because he hasn't been challenged.
Yeah, he hasn't had to do it.
He hasn't been challenged deep like that for a number of reasons. Like you said, when we talk about the pass rush getting there, teams just don't want to go that way. But when they do, and this is going to be key for Duran Bland, they are going to see on film you are susceptible to double moves. They're going to see that. And they're going to try to hit you with one, and they might try to hit you with one early. Because that's what happened to Diggs on the very first possession against the Eagles around Christmas. They hit Diggs up with a double move. A.J. Brown got deep, and boom, big play. So he just has to be disciplined on these double moves, and then I think we'll get a chance to see. Because if he gets hit with a double move, then there is no jump ball. He's just going to throw it up there.
Yeah,
It's a
it's gonna be
layup.
open.
It's open. So
Yeah.
either one or two things have to happen, in my opinion. You have to say, by hook or crook, I'm going to be physical with A.J. Brown throughout this route process and trust my help over top in regards to Hooker. So maybe Dan Quinn says, hey, Hooker, we need you to pay a little bit more attention to A.J. Brown's side so that Bland can stay physical with him.
Right.
Or you play off and you just give the underneath stuff and you just cannot bite. So
That's the thing, though. They will still throw the ball deep if you're playing 20 yards off the
we'll
ball.
take
He'll
that.
still do it.
Well, as long as you don't
I
get-
want that.
as long as you
I
don't
don't
get hit
like
with
the
the double.
soft coverages, though. Like the way I've seen teams get into, you haven't stopped them, but when you see misses on some of those places, when they mess up the timing of those routes versus just giving them opportunities. AJ is crazy when you just play off and play soft zones or soft. Like you got to get in his face and get physical with him. So
I hate the off coverage in our defense.
Yeah, I mean, I know when he's in those bunch sets, you're going to have to play off. But, when he's outside, I don't want him playing off that often. Maybe early to try to bait something short. But like you said, that might be those opportunities for those double moves when he's playing off too. I like Bland much better and Gilly.
You got to throw that off
on the
coverage
ball.
at AJ's side strategically like the Jets did. If you remember in the Jets game, I think that last pick, and I think it was actually the Goddard, they played a little soft, but that's because they had the linebacker buzzing in that area. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a tendency situation. Maybe that's what they saw during the game, but they had him buzz, boom, pick six. So, I think you can trip him up a little bit in regards to Jalen, make him think. And
I think you can play cover
things.
3 a lot more than cover one in this game.
Yeah, I don't like
because you want to use your vision though in this game because he stares everything down. Like and you also don't want your back turned to the line of scrimmage that often because that's how you can kind of limit some of Hurts' ability to scramble and extend stuff if you play a little bit more zone than we usually play. But I know we're going to be a cover 1 press team, and I hope that Bland actually, comes up and gets physical and gets in his face.
Yeah, you just got to be able to live with the occasional what happened with Puka Nacua, right? Like Bland, the deep or the over route where Nacua gets a 22-yard gain because that's tough, right? If you don't get home and you on one side of the field and the completion's on the entire other side of the field and it's a clear out, that's tough, man.
Yeah.
So
you don't want AJ out there by himself with nobody because he did that to the Jets. He broke like 3 tackles. He broke C.J. Mosley's tackle at that, and then the safety right after. So like he nasty in the open space. I don't want him in open space.
Mel said, through the first 7 games, what position group are you most confident in?
I would say I'm confident in our front. Like that rotation, that front 8, I guess you call it. Front 7. I like what Fowler's doing when our NASCAR package is crazy. They don't get on the field half enough, but they're leading the league in pressures when they're actually on the field. So I like our front 8. I like our front line, period. Our linebackers questionable because obviously we gotten some new pieces and some young pieces that are showing promise, but I need to see consistency before I say that's a strong position. That's probably our weakest link right now. But it's our front 8, and then after that, corner we're thin a little bit because of Diggs, but I like the starting 3 guys that we have out there, and I love our safety room. Because we got guys like Wanye and Izzy, who I believe in, who don't even get on the field, who are interchangeable guys. I think both of those guys can also help in the slot as well against certain types of guys, situationally, depending on who's in there. But yeah, I like the front 8. I like our defensive line.
100%. It's not even close. I think the front 7, or not even call it front 7, just the defensive line. That whole defensive
all of
line.
Them, man. When they in there, they reckon.
Yeah, from 1 to however many it is at dress, I think is your most confident group you have going into this. Yeah. And that's another reason why when we were talking about adding potential guys, and I think the Neil Hunter's name might have popped up, and people. I think we talked about this on the round table. We was like, hey, this is a strength. I'm like, make your strength strengthier. Make what's good gooder, right?
Gooder.
Make what's better, right? We have that conversation.
What's gooder than good? Gooder.
You know what I'm saying? And if you look at how our defense rolls, we rely on that front, right? Like this defense does not go if our pass rush is not on. And it doesn't mean we're sacking the quarterback 7 times. It means
he's got to make him move around, make him move his feet.
Exactly. So if your defense is predicated on that that's the group you should have the most confidence in my opinion.
Yep.
Brother L said, so Bradbury is the mouse in the house, the scrub on a defensive side. Who's the lineman on the offensive side? That's the find the scrub or whatever.
There is no scrub on the Eagles' offensive line, but I will say if there's somebody that I'm watching that I want to attack and just test, it's Lane. I want to see because Lane is he hasn't looked as strong at the point of attack as he had been prior to that Jets game. So I think that I want to see. I don't want to see Parsons against him though, because I think he could deal with the speed rushes. I want to see Lawrence and Lane go at it because I think the way Lawrence plays, he gonna beat him up, and that's what I want to see that because we got to play them twice and its playoff implications. And I think even if he has an okay game this game, I want him to feel it. And Lawrence is one of those guys that's gonna make Lane feel it this game. So I wouldn't say there's a weak link though. I would just say Lane is injured, so go after him. That's all.
I'll give two names, but like you said, I'm not going to call them one a scrub, but I know Jordan Mailata was struggling with Micah Parsons in the last matchup.
Oh, he can't deal with Parsons. Yeah.
No, he was struggling.
But he ain't a weak link, though. He ain't a weak link. He just can't deal
he's
with
not the weak link on the line. I got another name for that. But he can't deal with Parsons on the pass rush situation. And that was Micah remember Micah was dealing with stuff.
A rookie.
No, I'm talking about last year in Dallas. Micah had a lot of pressures on him.
When they tried that read option to his side, and he came down and just tore. They sent two pulling a guard and a tackle after him. Micah put his foot in the ground and still made the play himself.
I'm talking about the most recent matchup. He whooped him in Dallas. Just didn't get home, but he got pressures and he was just the tape was just fun matchup to watch. But if they don't have Cam Jurgens, who again I don't know, it's 10-18 Central, so I don't know if the Eagles dropped who they who's out there for practice or whatnot. Cam Jurgens was on injured reserve. His window can be opened up. He could potentially play depending on what he does. But if they don't have Cam Jurgens, they got a guy named Sua Opeta. Who played in that Washington game a little bit and he got hurt. He got dinged up. So he's a little dinged up. He's their backup guy. He would really be the mouse and house to go after. But the way they do their offensive line, bro, they're 1, not 5. They're 1, not 5. So you just gotta be physical at the line of scrimmage because they weren't getting much moving against that. But again, that's Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne. So a little different.
And here's the other thing about their offensive line too. Is like, it's the gift of having a guy like Hurts back there because they don't have to sustain their blocks the same way. Even though he's back there longer, it's not because they're killing the guy in front of them. It's because the way you mitigate Hurts is by containing him. So there aren't a bunch of teams that's just trying to get up the field with 4.
Yeah.
They're collapsing the pocket with 4. So those tackles don't have to find a guy. It's not like they're stopping speed rushers all day. They're not getting those rushes. If they had a pocket passer, the line would be a little bit different. It wouldn't be as stout. It's just that you don't want to pass rush or get upfield against Hurts. You actually want to keep them in the pocket. So, and you don't want them spilling out and extending plays either. So you want to keep them in the pocket so those guys aren't blitzing him or getting upfield on the edge, firing off the ball like that. They're going right at Lane Johnson and Mailata. So that's also part of the reason why that line is.
You saw it with Chase
better.
doing that too. Chase wasn't just getting upfield; kind of was just trying to
pressing
keep
the pocket.
Yeah.
So that's the other reason that line looks so indomitable. But that's the main reason I think Micah should be in the middle of this game, and even Evans or whoever you put there, just bring some pressure.
I was just about to say,
bring somebody. Yeah.
Would you say this is a big game for Hankins always right, but big game for Osa. To get some pressure up the middle, because if you can not have to blitz and you can get that pressure up the middle, he has nowhere to run. And when he's trying, if we're disciplined, and I believe in DeMarcus Lawrence being disciplined and doing his job, but if you're disciplined,
I haven't had a word to say about Lawrence all season.
He's been fantastic, man. DeMarcus Lawrence has been.
This is one of his best years.
Yeah. But people are going to look at sacks and people are going to and
I don't
say,
care about that this year. No.
I just promise you, $9.99. Go watch DeMarcus Lawrence, bro.
That's big of him though, because with a guy like Parsons coming in and starting to light things up with sacks, for Lawrence to transition his game to now, I think what used to hurt him is he wanted to. I want to get these sacks to justify things for me, and I think he's starting to just say, "Listen, he's making the veteran plays now, where it's like, listen, I don't care if I'm the one that makes the tackle. I need to do my job and disrupt. And that's what he's doing now versus just trying to get upfield and keep pace with, the sack leader on the team. He's not trying to be the sack leader on the team. He doesn't even care. Doesn't look disgruntled about it or nothing. He does what he's supposed to do. And I'm loving that.
That's funny you say that because I think a couple years ago, maybe I've been Micah's second year. He was like, yeah, I got to get the sack, whatever, back right this year. He don't care about none of that, man.
Nope.
Let me go out there and actually make others around me better by doing my job. And that's what he's doing, man.
Yep.
That's what he's doing. Let me get to a couple what is it, the first? Dang. All right, let me get to a couple super chats. Some of these might be questions, so let's see what happens. David J. Boom.
Super chat.
He said, he dropped 5. He said, man, I don't know how in the hell Sky only got 23.9 thousand subs. This man is elite. I appreciate you, David J. Thank you, man. Love the kind words. Appreciate that.
Super chat.
B Bird dropped 5. He said, the more talent you get increases your chances of winning. You're not on your A game. So the more talent you get increases the chances of winning when you're not on your A game. Okay, got you. So I
that's facts. Yeah, nobody arguing with that.
And he says when they play San Fran and Philly, they have to play their A+ game.
So the things that we do in big games, I think we get a little too overexcited. So our A game comes in when we're poised and doing our jobs, right? I think everyone on this team, especially the defense, they're getting penalties and doing crazy stuff when we're in those bigger games and extending drives. Like we've had several in San Fran, we had opportunities to get them off the field, and the defense could rest and the offense get out there and do what it has to do.
Personal foul or something.
Yeah, personal fouls, lining up off sides, and these are on third down plays. So I think in those moments are getting too big for them. It's not that they're not bringing their A game. They're trying too hard to bring their A game instead of just first thing you got to do is make sure you lined up right before you can do anything else. So they're not thinking. They're playing with pure talent and emotion. And I think they need to they need to bring their minds and their analytical mind to these games, because the teams that are sitting there that I don't even think are just hand over fist better talent wise, but they're scheming and they're patient and they're waiting. They're using our aggression against us, especially last week. Those screen passes were, I don't know, Matt Stafford wouldn't even have had 162 yards if those screens weren't getting off because we were flying, up the field the way we were. It would have been even better against those guys. So,
but that's the guy you fly up the field get.
Oh, of course, you got to go get him. But I mean, we had one where Micah was playing like middle, and we already had a good rush. Micah was right there. He jumps at one, and the screen pass goes right over his head. I'm like, if Micah would have read that instead of just flew off the ball, he would have tore that up. He just flew off the ball, and we already, the rest of those guys, we were rushing 5 on that play. And I think if you go back, you'll see the play where he like jumps up and the screen pass goes over his head, I think to 27, and they got some yards out of that. But, it's going to happen sometimes, but we can limit those. When we can start blowing that type of stuff up, it shows that we're paying attention. Like, watch your guy, watch that running back spill out, know that they're going to try to use that stuff against you. And when you're going back, I know you got to go back in history to see it, but when you see teams like when DeMarcus Ware was playing here, you would see teams try certain shit like, that outside stuff or screen passes to his side. He shut it down 2 times in the beginning of the game, and they never come back to it because he's showing like, I'm not just a talent that's trying to get upfield using my physical ability. I ain't
that come down to coaching.
I ain't stupid. Don't play with me.
Yeah, that, and that's the thing. One of the gifts and curse we have to live with. We have such a dog, mentality of going to get the cue, where it's similar to Rod, right? Except for it's the outside guys that have that. The inside guy's job under Rod was go get the quarterback. The outside guy's job in this scheme is go get the quarterback, and the inside guys is, hey, keep things clean for behind you. So it's one of those schematic situations where DQ's kind of got to say, hey, this is a second and long. This might be a screen. Right?
This might be a draw or a screen.
Hey,
look for it.
Yeah, whatever the word is they use,
Yeah.
Just be mindful of it, right? And to stay on the screen situation, because Cowboys got hit off with 2 big screens the last couple of weeks. Was it the Chargers? What's his name? Eckler. I almost said Akoye because Eckler and then Henderson got one.
Yeah, Henderson got one on us too. Yeah.
On the flip side, I don't think we were running them enough from a Cowboy standpoint. You know, we were running screens and we were converting them pretty damn good at the beginning of the year.
Well, when you hit TP in the face mask with a screen, you better catch
yo,
it. That
look,
was a touchdown. He hit him right in his face.
I said the same thing, and somebody pointed something out, and go back and watch it. Somebody was like, bro, why did Dak throw a heater? And he was 3 yards away. And I'm like, what you talking about?
It wasn't that bad, though.
Yo, he threw a heater. Now, catch the rock, but he threw a heater, bro. I ain't going to hold you. Go back and watch.
Catch the rock, bro.
Catch the rock, but he did throw a heater.
It wasn't that bad. I did see it, though. He did put some heat on it.
I didn't even peep game because you're like, man, catch the damn ball. But I went back and said, oh, shit, he did throw a heater.
Yeah.
Now, we did have a screen, and Vach brought this up during his videotape, his film footage. We had a screen wide open for a touchdown to TP, but we threw it to I think it was Ferguson. He juggled it or whatever. Then the next play we threw the pick.
I know that slant route that Ferg
it was an out route.
Yeah.
It was out route, but boy, it was wide open on the other side. Oh, that screen was there. Throw that screen. But yeah, just more screens. I'm open to more screens.
I'm with you.
I love screens. Easy buttons.
Super chat.
Dro Knows dropped 5. He said, we couldn't reach out to Atlanta to see about Jake Matthews. I don't know why they move off. I don't know what's going on over there, but I don't know why they move off. They in the hunt.
Yeah, you need that.
Yeah, they in the hunt. I don't think they would
you got Bijan Robinson. You need that over there.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's why we try to talk about realistic options. I don't know that Jake would be realistic because that division's terrible, right? So they got a chance to win the division.
Yeah, they can take that over.
Yeah.
What, they 4-4 right now? They not losing. They have 5.
Nobody's out in that division, I think, except the Panthers, really.
Yeah.
And they just got a dub. Frank G dropped 5 and he said, there's too much talent on the bench that needs to play and develop. So when our top starters goes down, they're ready to go. So when our top starters go down, they're ready to go. That's what Coier was saying earlier. He wants to see Fehoko and, I like Wanye's been playing. So I don't know why you don't just play him a little bit more, but
yeah, man.
There's that.
Yeah.
Sidney Jones.
I think he's gonna take over by the end of the year. He'll get a lot more playing time come the playoffs, probably. Hopefully, knock on wood. Go ahead though.
Yes. I just don't know. They in a tough situation, man, because you paid Hooker, and Hooker's not a bad player. You paid I shouldn't say that, making it sound like he's not doing good. Hooker's fine. Donovan Wilson's still working back, and then you got J-Ron. But I feel like one of those dudes got to be the sacrificial lamb, man. One of those dudes got to be the sacrificial lamb. Who, I don't know, break the pool stick, y'all figure it out. But Wanya got to get on the field.
Yeah, he got to get out there.
At least to show that, okay, maybe too many snaps ain't good for him. But I like him, man. He moves around out there with some energy.
Super chat.
Sidney Jones dropped 2 and said, can Bland travel with A.J. Brown?
I think he can. I just know, history is the best indicator of future events, man. And just Dan Quinn just doesn't do it. He doesn't like to do that. So I don't think they're gonna do it, And I think it's because of the way we play. He doesn't want to create communication issues when you have a guy that has to move around. I don't think he wants to try that. I think he likes, man, this is simple enough. You know where you need to be. We're not going to add another ripple on the road where, communication already might be an issue. I don't think he's going to follow.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And honestly, I think that's not a bad thing because if, like you talked about earlier with Gilly, if it's anything he's going to struggle with, it's the speed. And so if you got him just sitting on Devontae Smith all game, there's opportunities to take advantage of Gilly not, being as explosive as he used to be. So if sometimes you get Gilly matched up on AJ, I'll take it because that's up his, wheelhouse. That don't mean he gonna shut him down because AJ's been balling, but it's a better matchup for Gilly, whereas the speed.
Yeah, I don't want to see a lot of J. Lou on him. I can say that. That's no.
No.
I don't want to see that, but. J. Lou would help. He probably get help in the middle of the field because that's where we keep our safeties and our linebackers anyway. So we force everything to the perimeter. So when he's outside, he's going to be Gilly or Bland one-on-one at times. So as long as it's not one-on-one J. Lou, I can live with it. But I don't want to see J. Lou on him a lot.
Nah, they don't play him in the slot a whole bunch, but he does go in there, right? So
he in there.
And
they move him around a little bit.
And they might look at the film and say, this is our best opportunity to get something going is to get that matchup. Because a couple weeks ago, from a physicality standpoint, Keenan Allen is not the same physical wide receiver as A.J. Brown. And that's where the size to me now is a situation. And then we had this, Foots is in the chat. We had this conversation in the Illuminati group, right? This would be a game. You brought up Izzy. This would be a game I'd be interested to see what he can do, because you got a bigger guy like AJ, and then Julio is starting to get some snaps inside. These are bigger dudes.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Right? These are
Izzy
bigger
can deal with
dudes.
that.
So if there was a game to see it, to do the matchup with Izzy, these are the type of receivers that you say, okay, 6'4", long wingspan. You got dudes who are not really I'm not trying to say this about AJ because AJ's fantastic, but these aren't your Christian Kirk types. These aren't your Kadarius Toney types. These aren't your quick hip dudes that now you're Cooper Kupp, right? These aren't those type of dudes where Jay Lou actually plays really well against. These big body wide receivers that just quite literally wants to out physical you at this point in their career. So I wouldn't be opposed to seeing McQuamu switch up in this game. And again, I think Jay Lou has been playing fine for the season, but this is a different type of matchup.
Right.
Super chat.
And then James Grover dropped 10 and said, Gilmore has a lot of experience against AJ from New England and Indianapolis days. So knowing that Devontae is faster, it was funny that we just talked about this. Wouldn't you put Gilly on AJ with help and leave Bland one-on-one with Smith? I mean, it's kind of what we were just talking about.
Yeah, if you were going to follow, but we're not going to do it. It's going to be if
he's going to get matched up.
If Smith is on the right, it's going to be Gilly on him. They're going to have opportunities with AJ lined up against him. Obviously, they're going to try him here and there, kick the tires, but they're not going to follow. I don't think they're going to follow, no matter what.
Yeah, it's basically what we just were saying.
It makes sense, though. You're not wrong, but they're not going to do it. I like what I saw from Gilly last year when he was with the Colts against AJ.
Play well.
They only got like stuff where they were doing like those rub routes and those interference routes on him. That's the only thing they got. They didn't get anything else. So, I mean, he was matched up with him, he didn't get anything honest against him.
And I know we haven't really seen it in regards to these guys being contested passes down the field, but I think one thing that allowed Gilly to play well against AJ is that Gilly is smart, right? So and what did we just say about their pass concepts? They're not complicated. No, they're not hard. Everybody has tendencies. Yeah, everybody got the tendencies. It's been week 9? Week 9. And Philly, at least with Brian Johnson, Eagle fans, if you in here, correct me if I'm wrong, but just based off of what I've been seeing and hearing about you guys, it's not like this dude is just out there just dialing it up from a concept standpoint. I mean, it's some basic concepts, but here's the thing, right? They can be basic because they got dudes. So you better have, if you don't have better dudes, A.J. Brown can make you look silly. Devontae Adams can make you look silly. Dallas Goddard can make you look silly. But if you got some dudes, that's when the competition gets fun. And I think the Cowboys
that's why this is going to be a good one. Yeah.
That's the heavyweight match.
You're not just going to go off just because you're out there. Like, it's not going to be like Washington on the outside. I mean, you're not just going to go off on these guys.
No. And Washington.
Not up the field straight. You're not running a bunch of go routes.
I agree with you. I don't know why they switched up in the second half, how they were defending them. They were making Hurts have to sift through some things with that too high. They were playing some too high man a lot, but they weren't.
They started blitzing like crazy.
They were saying, "I'm gonna let you beat us deep." So they were kind of matriculating down the field and hoping that they would make a mistake. And what happened? They made mistakes. They fumbled twice inside the 10-yard line. And we talk about red zone struggles. The Eagles are having red zone struggles of their own. But don't let this be a game where they find it. Don't let it be a game, man. No. Don't let it be a game. Dan said I'd run too high all game. It's not in our wheelhouse.
We ain't never doing that.
That's never happened, bro. Yeah, that's not in our wheelhouse. I don't mind, switching it up, but I will always say this, bro. Like, be who you are, because the minute you try to be somebody else is when you get the confusion and you're not sure. Be who you are, but 100. Mix it up.
Yep.
Because if that was the case, we should have did that against the Rams. With their receivers. They did not. The Cowboys were who they are, and it worked. So we'll see. Let's see here. I think we good, man. Let me see here. Boom, boom, boom. One more refresh. Appreciate the super chats. Really good ones too with these questions, man. Really, really appreciate that. Oh, one more. I know I might miss one. Stargazer dropped 5.
Super chat.
Said, do you think Philly pulls a wild card and tries to run the ball down our throats instead of airing it out like they've been doing?
I think all teams are going to test the run. They're going to kick the tires early to see if they're. That's the way we run. Like if we get, if you get some chunky yardage on the ground, of course you're going to keep doing it. So they're going to try it, and depending on the success early, if we can stop the run in the first quarter and make them think twice about it, they're happy to go away from it. So I think that's what's going to come down to. Can we play stout against the run early enough to make them, and then also put some points on the board to make them want to say, hey, we can't rely on the run solely in this game. If it's a close game, we're going to get a lot of run. It's going to happen. But that's going to come to Dak actually, getting out there and scoring as well. So that's both sides of the ball. That's going to affect how well they run this game. If it's a close game, though, they are going to attempt it. But I think that we've been a lot better, especially between the tackles against the run this season. Teams have still been able to kind of spill out on the outside against us, and you saw what Arizona was able to do running. But I don't think they're going to do a lot of design runs with Hurts this game. And if they do, I know we're going to put a hat on them because that's what we've been doing to everybody who's tried it. Even Dobbs, we actually got a body on him when we played him, even though they beat us. Dobbs, when we played him, we got a body on him when he tried those design runs. So
he just had that big long.
Yeah, one long one. Yeah. So quarterbacks out in open space, these guys get excited. They want to hit you. I don't know if Dan Quinn said I'll take the penalty if you hit a quarterback in open space or not, but we always get one. So quarterbacks get torpedoed when they run against us. So I don't think they're going to try that.
I don't think
it's injured.
I don't think it's necessarily going to be a wild card for them running. They run the ball the third most in the league. They're number 3, I think, in the National Football League in rushing attempts. So it's who they are. They just haven't been as successful with it the last couple weeks. So, they're going to run the ball. I mean, look, we're talking about the Cowboys defense. You don't want to drop back and just air it out all game unless you get put in a position to do it. So like McCarthy said, he said, hey, we know how teams are going to try to attack us. They're going to try to run. And unless they mix it up with how they run, that split zone, it's going to be all about these linebackers getting downhill. And then they'll try to play off of that because I'll welcome that, Akoye. If that's how they're going to run the ball, shotgun, split zone, I feel good about us being able to defend that. It's going to be, okay, once they pull that rock and you got the tight end coming across or you got AJ coming across, I don't want to get caught in the 3rd and 4th situation. They get a cheap first down that way. So I'm with you. I think we've done well this year. I bet you if I told you the Cowboys have only given up over 100 yards, I think, twice this season? I'm not counting the first week again. But I think I got 109. But, you had Daniel Jones getting some. So, twice this season, if I told you the Cowboys were 8th in the NFL right now in running backs yards per carry, top 10, I bet you everybody would say you lying because the stigma around Dallas is that, well, you suck against the run. Yeah, in one game. I mean, let's be real. In one game, you were bad against the run this year. And I get it, the score, the situations and things like that. But again, running backs are averaging 3.57 yards per carry. Running backs. I'm not talking about the Qs. Running backs. I'll take that all day and tomorrow. If Dallas finishes the season with running backs averaging less than 4 yards per carry, 3.5 yards per carry, that's a dub, especially if the offense can keep doing well and making teams have to become one-dimensional. So I think they'll stick to what they do. They're going to come out, try to run. It's up to you to piss them off and get them to try to start throwing because once they do that.
Plus, they got a lot of backs that are like ours. They got a lot of backs like TP. They don't have a thumper in there. They got guys that are, sort of like receiver-esque. Even though Swift is fast and he's good, but, you saw what happened when you put a body on him. And the same thing with Gainwell last game. Like, you can tear these guys up. Gainwell, they like to run a lot of inside zones with. So, hopefully they do that.
Keep giving him the ball. I don't understand why they be giving him the rock.
Do it.
Swift. Please. I want to see Gainwell with 15 carries.
You want him with the ball. Exactly. Like, give him the ball, please. You know what I mean?
Swift, he hasn't been I shouldn't say he hasn't been the same. He hasn't had the same production since week 3 against Minnesota or Tampa.
Minnesota, he went off in his homecoming. And
Tampa, I think, and then since then, like I said, 3.5 yards per carry since. But he's still got juice. He has patience. He runs tough, or what have you. But the run game, he hasn't had the same success. The run game hasn't had the same success since Cam Jurgens went out. But Cam Jurgens has been his window's open, so we'll see what happens.
This is going to be a game if he's in the rotation heavily. This is going to be a game where y'all going to smile when y'all see what Rashaan Evans can do. He had only 7 snaps last game.
7 snaps, yep.
And I don't know if you saw that. You saw when 69 peeled off and tried to block him. The one solo tackle I think he made.
I'm about to say
I said,
he had the one tackle, but it was
he
impressive.
tossed him. He just talked like he wasn't even there. Like, get out of here, man. So if they try to get in space up the middle against Rashaan Evans, this is gonna be a fun game.
He coming downhill, right?
Yeah, he like that type of stuff.
I went back and watched the Cowboys versus the Eagles on the road, right? And I remember you did a film session because people were coming at your neck about LVE.
Yeah.
No pun intended about necks. But
yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I actually got that written
My
down in my notes.
collarbone. Go ahead, though.
It was intended.
Yeah, it was.
You made that, and if y'all ain't see it, man, go check it out, right? Like, it's so funny. Akoye's tone in that video, you could tell you was fucking annoyed by it.
Yeah, I was tired of it, man. Like,
so
what are you doing?
Yeah, so there was a couple, and I saw one of the plays you was talking about. He was like, man, even when he right, he wrong.
Still doing it wrong. Why you walking you got to the right spot, now go. Like, get down there. What you doing?
So I watched that play,
funny,
and I thought about Rashaan Evans, the film by Rashaan.
Killed somebody.
I said,
on that,
shit, Rashaan Evans would have blew that hole up.
Right?
Like, yeah.
Rashaan Evans is a beast, man. I like
somebody. Hey, 2i, who's in here? If 2i, if you in here, can we get a question? Can we get a question, a DQ off the record? Not really off the record, but in the walk off somewhere, you floating around the star. Are we going to see Rashaan Evans snaps increase? I'd be curious. Because I think Rashaan Evans should start integrating in with Damone, because right now Damone's your mic, and I said this before, bro. I don't think Damone is a mic's mic. I think
he likes the flow. Yeah,
I think he's a will. And that
cleanup guy.
Right, he's a will. When we got a bunch of will linebackers on the team, I thought Damone could be, but then he got here. I'm like, okay, he's a will linebacker. I'm fine with that as long as they put him at will. Whereas Evans is your only other Mike. LVE got the Mike size, but he played like a will and a safety.
Yeah.
Evans don't play like no safety.
Evans eat with his hands.
Yeah.
He'll eat with no fork and knife. He eat with his hands. You know what I'm saying? That's a grown man right there. I like him.
Let me get that question to hey, well, what do you think about Rashaan Evans and his snaps increasing? Will that happen in this game? Like, I want to know. You know what I'm saying? One more. Speaking of AJ and double moves, do you think we'll finally see a sluggo? Talk about it. On the backside with Gallup or Tolbert. Shit, I do it with Cooks too. Gallup or Tolbert, we've been setting it up all season, and Bradbury is ass.
Yeah. I think the way Lamb is playing right now, you're gonna see, him and Cooks are both in a zone right now, in my opinion. That touchdown to Cooks, that double, it was sort of like a sluggo, I guess.
He just
stuttered a little bit.
He just in the middle of that route, and it was a wrap.
Yeah, and gone. But the way that play right there, Cooks actually called it himself. He went to the sideline and said, "Yo, if you try this, that's what Dak says anyway." He said, "If you try this, it's going to score." He said that he came to the sideline and said that. So the way those guys are playing, Cooks' mind and then the way CD is like, moving around and making plays. It don't matter whether they try double moves or not. I think they're going to give Bradbury and Slay fits because they're both in a zone right now. So yeah, they're going to try them though.
I think if we listen to Mike, it's coming, right? Like the other things, the other variations of the scheme are coming. He said we're letting, which has shocked me. Like, well, yeah, I finally understood we got to start letting Dak loose a little bit. Like, I don't know why you reined him in, but and then he said, now we're at the point in the season where we can start opening up the offense a little bit more. And in my head, I'm like, bro, it's week 9, my guy. Like, we lost 2 games. Why don't we open up the offense? We was losing those games. What are you talking about? So I do think, or at least hope, that we will start seeing some of these sluggo concepts. And we've been running all these slant flats, right? But we haven't really been running any variations of those slant. Like, there's some cool variations you can do off the slant flats. And maybe those are the things we see. Maybe it's not necessarily a sluggo. Maybe it's a slant flat, like it's a wheel. So instead of running to the flat, we run the wheel behind the slant, and now you got whoever it is in that combination getting open. So according to Mike, we're going to start doing these things, but I guess we saving a good play.
When you like in boxing, if you're installing the offenses like this, like first you got to establish something,
sure,
and then you build off of what you establish. So I think that's what he's saying when he's like, it's time to open up. It's like we've put enough on tape to give you an idea of what you think our tendencies are, and now we can counter those tendencies.
That's
now,
the one right there.
But first,
Coier.
we have to establish something, and now we've established something. So now we can say, hey, we're going to do this when they try to take this away now. Versus we didn't have anything to take away because we weren't consistent at anything before. Now we've been trending in the right direction. So I kind of get where you're going with that. Like we've established it. You establish your jab, and now your right hand gonna open up. You establish the right hand, and now the hook's coming. You know what I mean?
No,
so,
what he says
like
makes sense, but don't go into a game like San Francisco and not open it up
and wing it. Yeah,
we in week 9, right? Like I get it in week 1, 2, 3, but you go into week 5 in a matchup. It's time now. That's 4 games is plenty enough establishment. 4 games is plenty enough to put on film. Now you know would have been a great time to hit those sluggos and those doubles and the slant wheels against a team that was sitting on that shit. That'd have been a perfect time to do it. Yep. But I think, and I said this the other day, I think he got popped upside the head in San Fran and said, "Oh, okay, now it's time to open it up," because they just absolutely wrecked your short game in that matchup. And ever since then, things
he's adjusted because you can see that they're starting to move Dak around. They're starting to move even when he's not running. They're starting to move him around. Like there's a lot of design plays where the line is just sliding one way or the other. Yeah, sprint options. Yeah. So they're doing that a lot. So I think that that is their adjustment to it. It's like, listen, let's give this defense something else to think about. Let's get them going one direction and get Dak easy, quick looks off the edge. And Dak's look totally different now that we started doing that. He can play from the pocket, but he shouldn't just be sitting in the pocket the entire game. That doesn't make any sense.
It's one of the things he came out of the San Fran game saying is, you know what, I got to use my legs more to help us out. Yeah. But that's one of the things I did like from that takeaway was that we organically will have counters. And one of my things that bugged me the most about the previous regime is that we'd always fantastic, right? First 6 to 8 weeks, whatever, first half year, whatever. But once teams started to figure you out, we didn't have a counter because and you know what we're talking about. We didn't have a counter or an answer to it. And one of my kind of saving graces was that, okay, look, this offense looks really just weird, right? Like out of the ordinary early on because you went away from the things that were working, and now you're dealing with injuries and you're saying, I don't want to do this because the injuries, it just wasn't flowing. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to hold out hope that I'd rather us have this weirdness now than have this weirdness week 15 and we going into the season. Remember what happened last year? We go play Washington, and a couple years ago it was Arizona, and we're like, hey man, can this really work against a good defense, right? Or a better defense? Let me say that. And what happened? It didn't work against a better defense, and you got whooped because you didn't have any counters to it.
They were relying too much on. I mean, they are Dak's strengths. He has multiple strengths, though. You don't just say, you got a good left hand. Let me tie your right hand behind your back in the championship fight. Right. So you have to still use his legs. But Dak's eyes and Dak's pre-snap game is what Kellen was like making his bread and butter, and I think it was because of that injury and the paycheck. Like, so Dak got paid, and he was injured prior to getting paid. So they used his legs a little bit less. And then you go all the way back to that New England game where Dak wins in overtime and he re-injures, his calf or I don't know if they say it was a fracture, but I don't know if it was a calf.
No, it was a calf strain.
Yeah. So, but he re-injured himself in that game. So he was rolling out on that play to CD at the end of the game. You know what I mean? So they weren't moving him, and then they just stopped after that completely, for a long time. They start relying solely on his ability to affect the game pre-snap and to use his eyes to look safeties off. And sometimes either, guys wouldn't cross faces or the safety just wasn't biting, on that eye contact.
You didn't have concepts that challenged you on the back end. And what happened was you get a smart defensive coordinator like Vic Fangio that says, oh, so you guys can't run effectively. You can't block the run. And this is what you're doing on the back end. I got a simple solution. And you start seeing other teams start playing the umbrella a little bit more because we were a vertical offense that didn't have a short passing game to go with the run game. We didn't have a counter. Whereas this year, and the West Coast is designed to have counters, right? If you Texas Coast, whatever the hell you want to call it. Yeah. Now it's about if you get hit, which they got popped upside the head against San Fran. Yeah. Okay, let's open this thing up. And to McCarthy's credit, he opened it up a little bit against the Chargers, opened it up some more against the Rams, and now the passing game, I think, is in a rhythm. The other side of it, the running game, I'm at a point, and I want to ask you, Akoye.
Mm-hmm.
I think things are flipped. I don't think we are going to be leaning on a run no more, just based off of how it's being called, how it's being ran, how it's being blocked.
Right.
I don't even know if it's definitely because you ain't go out and get like no Derrick Henry or an offensive lineman or whatever. I'm at a point right now where I think we're about to go to a point where it looks like the Chiefs, where the running game is just a compliment. It's not a feature.
And I mean, I agree with you. So first,
I'm saying I want it to be that.
No.
Game,
yeah, I was. Yeah, there you go. I agree that that's the way it's trending. But I would also say it would be a mistake because you got to let Rico eat. When you say that the running game's not being blocked correctly, I agree. But when you look at the burst that Rico has when he gets in there and the way he runs, I think if you give him the ball 5-10 times a game, only 5 times a game, you're not going to get it. But 10 times a game, bro. Yeah, minimum, he'll get you 50, 60 yards doing that because Rico is balling right now. And I wouldn't say balling, but he's showing promise.
No,
you know
he
mean?
flashes.
So, so you gotta let him, split some time and split some carries with Tony. And you also, we're doing a good job though of still maintaining clock control while throwing. So that is what the Texas Coast offense is designed to do. So we are finding other ways to move the ball short, without running. So it is there because you can't control the clock throwing as much as we throw. If it's not working, we would have low time of possession and we don't. So it's working in that regard, but I think it would be a mistake, especially late in the year when you start getting in those cold games, stuff like that. You want a guy like Rico and even maybe some Hunter. 3-4 times, to make it count, make those guys feel it. We need that, we need that. And then also stop being, if you're going to run in the middle, give Rico a series and let him run in the middle. Otherwise, let TP run the edge, man. Like TP on the edge is still looking okay to me. So
look good.
Stop running him in the middle. He's not doing shit in the middle of the field anyway. Stop letting him do it.
That, and for the love of God, get rid of this shotgun counter. I mean, you're terrible at it at this point, bro.
Right.
And you're terrible. Dudes are stumbling over themselves. Even much like the LV situation. Even when you do it right, you do it wrong. There was a play or a couple plays in that game where, okay, we got a nice little lane, but now we get to the second level and Terrence Steele and Tyler Smith are running into each other, and now there's a free linebacker, and then Tolbert is pushing the guy inside. It's just like, man, that shotgun counter is just a mess right now, bro.
It's not it, right?
It's absolute mess. So,
and our inside zone could work, but we just doing it with the wrong guy.
Yeah, man.
Rico can do it. I don't think TP needs to do it. I don't even want TP doing it for his body's sake. Like, why are you doing that with this guy?
It's 11 carries or 12 carries in that game, right? And probably, again, like 7 or 8 of them up the middle of the field. Like it's just out of shotgun, So it's a mess from a blocking standpoint right now, from a how-to standpoint. And I understand their reasoning for the Rams where, hey, we felt like we can have success throwing the ball. So I'm okay with week to week. If the game plan is our strength is to throw, and if I'm scoring, who cares, right? But like you said, what happens, though, when you get into these muddy games where a team is making it difficult on you throwing a rock, or you go up to Buffalo. You go up to Buffalo, and it's cold as hell in December, right? I haven't seen since, week 3 against the Arizona Cardinals, the ground game sustain efficiency. So I am interested the rest of the year to see how they can get back on track from an efficiency standpoint. But don't be stubborn, man. You talk about boxing or just not even say boxing.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about the Rico situation or any of these dudes. I don't feel like the running backs are getting a chance to even get in a rrhythm.
No,
it's
they're not getting the ball enough.
Sporadic as hell.
You gotta give them a series where like we're showcasing you this series. The only good thing that's coming from this run game from a front office standpoint is you're running the hell out of TP. And you'll probably get him cheaper next year.
No, they're not bringing him back. That never was. He was never coming back. Once he got tagged, that was a wrap.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm bringing him back.
And we're not paying you that again, bro. It's a fact. But that's what I'm saying. If you were to get him a long term, I'm talking about, he can't even ask for the same type of money he was trying to get last year. If he's, if he trends in the same direction he's going in right now.
But here's the thing, bro. Yeah. He ain't even getting that many touches. But I think because he's the lead back, we automatically assume, man, they're giving the ball to TP too much. 11 carries, 12 carries, 14 carries. He's getting actually less carries.
That's because he started off with the 23 and the 22, and we're like, oh.
Right, he's getting less carries than he probably was getting that in a 3-game stance last year. Now, obviously you got the scores, so I get it. But it's not like he's getting a ton of carries. The problem is he's getting those carries in the wrong way. And you're not doing what you did. Here's what bothers me, Akoye. You had a 2-back tandem where you let these guys get into a rhythm. We're not doing that this year, and I just don't understand it, man. I don't know if it's because Skip Pete ain't here no more. Running backs coach was out. I wonder if maybe that could be the case, but that is something I'm gonna keep my eye on moving forward. Is can this run game get going to be efficient again?
Yeah, we need to.
We had a couple.
And free my man Deuce, man. Let me see some Deuce out there sometimes, man.
We had some packages
free
with
Deuce
him early, and then all of a sudden, but see,
he looked good too. He didn't look like he was trash. So let's go. Especially in the Jets game, he looked good.
He did, but here's what I think happened, bro. They came to the conclusion we're not using the whole stable. And it wasn't like Deuce was able to get opportunities when he ran the ball where it was a whole bunch of lanes or whatnot. So when he ran, they were not blocking for that dude.
Yeah, and it was nothing. Like, oh, all right.
And then he can't block for you, right? That's not a guy you keep it in the block.
Yeah.
So
good point.
I think they said, you know what, you can't help us on special teams. So we're going to go ahead and just inactivate you here, man. So
damn.
I think that's where we at with Deuce, man.
Damn, Deuce.
I know. I thought he was doing good. The orbit motion against the Jets had a nice little screen. Got to the outside, you know. Like, hey, but then they stopped.
Super chat.
A couple more. DB just dropped 10 and said, "Great show. Hit the like button." And then we don't wipe them 304s. Appreciate you, DB. He said, "Salute Sky at South Beach right now. Jealous."
Oh man, you having fun.
And let's just say, oh Lord, let's just say that there are some great sights to see, if you know what I mean.
Let me talk to you.
Yeah, we know what you mean, brother.
Jay Recruiter says, Sky and Coier were throwing blows earlier. Made my morning walk fun. Yeah, me and Coier,
that's how we met.
Gloves.
We met throwing like Sky. Once he lock on to something, it's like you got damn near kill him to get him off of it. And me too, though. So we both go at it.
And it
when we on the opposite side of a point, it's gonna be some fun content.
I meant to put in my bell because I knew he was gonna get it because I knew he was gonna get it to it, but I ain't got my bell. Now my ding ding ding.
You woke me up because I was like, I wasn't even prepared for a scrap, but I was like, oh, all right, well, let's go.
You know, man, you always got to be prepared with me.
Yeah,
man.
I guess you stay ready so you ain't got to get ready.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think everything good to go from an Ask Akoye, #AskAkoye standpoint, man. Always, bro, appreciate you coming through.
Likewise, man.
If people don't know where to find your good stuff in the film breakdown, I believe you're one of the film goats, not just in Cowboys land, just period, man. Let them know where to find your work.
Akoye on YouTube. If you want some breakdown content, you want to go to war like me and Sky, definitely jump on Twitter. IG, you already know what it is on IG. You guys know, you like aliens and Area 51 type shit, go there. You know what I mean? And I have fun with it. So, definitely I'm approachable. Reach out, talk. Let me know if you got ideas as to stuff that you want, questions you want answered with the film, so to speak. I like to do that type of stuff too. So people have fun with it. Sending me DMs and saying like, can you look at this? And I actually get ideas from it as well. So I like that kind of stuff, man. Keep sending them to me.
Apparently I did miss one more from Brandon.
Super chat.
Jay dropped 5 and said, is Darius Slay still that guy? Will he travel, I'm guessing? Will he travel with CD? Where's the matchup for us receivers versus their secondary? Well, tomorrow we're going to talk about the Eagles defense, but if you got anything on that, is Darius Slay still that guy, and will he travel with CD?
I think Darius Slay still, his mind, he still got the athleticism, and he's definitely, a smart cerebral player too. So you can't disrespect or play with Darius Slay because in any given moment he can make you pay for that. He's still it.
Player.
He's still it. Bradbury is good in zone as well, but I think that's the one that you go at if you're going to target a guy. You want to go at a guy consistently, it's going to be Bradbury. It's not going to be Darius Slay. But as far as traveling with CD, I hope they do. Because we can create mismatches that we want if you're going to move him around. A lot. You're going to have to deal with a lot more. So you're going to have to deal with a lot of rubs or a lot of, in and out stuff if you move him around with CD. CD going to work him. Because we've been hiding CD. Like we did, I think, like 3 snaps we hit him behind the line of scrimmage too. So we move him around so much that if you try to follow with Darius Slay, it's going to mess up the integrity of the rest of your defense. He might not get the ball, but somebody else.
I was just about to say, I welcome him, man. If you want to put Bradbury on Brandon Cooks all game, I mean, I know we talking about spamming CD Lamb, but there's going to be some times where teams try to take that away, and you need somebody else to make them pay for that. And I think Cooks is starting to get in the flow now, right? The last 2 games, excuse me, Brandon Cooks has some big passes. He's been putting some things on film. The Rams, had to respect his speed. That's why you see him get a nice little 16-yard comeback route. So let's start to get Brandon Cooks going if you want to pay all the attention to CeeDee Lamb. And the next thing you know, we at, week 12 and teams are like, pick your poison. Like, what do we do here? Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb. So travel. But I'll be talking more about that tomorrow as we break down the Eagles' defense, which really the heavyweight fight is up front. You win that one, then you can get rolling. So it might be one of those situations where you just got to battle. You got to battle up front, and then Ford will help you. Yeah. He got to help you with his eyes. Yeah. Right? With that said, I'm going to go ahead and hit this damn button.
Push the goddamn button.
Push the goddamn button. I got you. Make sure y'all hit up Akoye on everywhere, really. But it all depends.
Yeah.
Make sure
it depends on what you want.
What you want. If you want some football,
and how you want it.
You come to YouTube. You want that smoke? Go to Twitter.
Yeah.
If you want a little bit of conspiracy theory, come on over to IG. You want some boxing? Go over to IG. Wherever it is, hit my boy up, man. Appreciate you, bro.
For sure, man. For sure.
We out here. Peace.